What's up, Black Comic Lords? Once again, you're on with another one of our Black Comic Creator interviews. Now, look, oftentimes in this space, I see a lot of comments, people talking about Marvel and DC and the repetitiveness in comics and unoriginality, lack of creativity, subpar standards, quality control, what have you. It's a thing that it plagues us in the comic book realm these days. Well, people say, well, look, you should just go to indie route, and then some people say, well, it's not all the indies are all that great. Let me tell you, we are blessed to have on here today one company, one creator who meets and exceeds all those expectations. We've wanted to have him here for a while. Just a matter of coordinating schedules, to have you. But Godhood Comics is one of those publishers and creative forces that is doing it the right way. Not just in putting out their own material, their own IP, but doing it with high quality of writing, of original stories, quality art, quality publishing. And then from a global perspective, Godhood Comics is going out there and trying to not just promote themselves, but uplift everyone else as well. They're doing it the right way, and we're happy to have them. So without further ado, Tyler Martin, everyone.
Hey, bro. Amazing introduction. Thank you so much.
Oh, man, you're an amazing dude, an amazing company, and I have nothing but respect for what you guys will do over there at Godhood. So, but thank you, man. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, absolutely, man. Long overdue, man. We've been trying to get on this for, like you said, over a year. So happy to be here tonight. Feels like I'm up, off the bench.
All right, so let's get to it. Let's get to it, man. And for those who are watching, because I'm always terrible at this, and I'm surprised the producer Derek behind scenes didn't say anything. Please like this video, share this video, and subscribe to the Black Comic Lords channel if you have not done so already. So let's start first by you defining what is Godhood Comics.
Well, yeah, man. Shout out to World at War Comics. Oh man, that's my guy. Well, for me, I'll talk about what godhood means, and for me, that was I was always obsessed with Greek mythology. Hercules is my favorite Disney movie, and for me, godhood is they had to step into their godhood to enter into Olympus or the kingdom of heaven, whatever. And so I feel like that's when a man is at his closest to God, and for me, that was while I was creating, which is what God does, right? And so making comics more specifically, and so that's how Godhood was founded. I First of all, I'm glad you mentioned quality, because Godhood was founded on the basis of quality, in the sense that Black people, we do not get to be mediocre in any sense of the word, in any field, in any medium. And so I knew that if I was going to make comics, they had to look just as good or better than what was on the shelf that Marvel and DC was putting out. And
Right.
so that's how Godhood was born, and this emphasis on quality, which is amazing artwork, amazing characters, and amazing stories. And so Godhood was founded to focus on BIPOC characters, so Black, Indigenous, people of color, as our leads, because oftentimes do you see a person of color as the main character, right, without some sort of incentive or money or cash grab, but we wanted natural main characters, and they just so happen to be Black, and that's what the basis that Godhood was founded on.
Yeah. One of the concepts we always talk about in the space is, if you want a successful Black comic, make it a successful comic first.
Oh my
Right?
God.
Make a story that resonates. Make the story good. Make the art good, and then add the Black part to it.
Listen, I tell, bro, that is solid.
Yeah.
I tell our, like, my mentees and our interns and just people who reach out for advice, that I'm not making Black comics. I'm making great comics that just so happen to be about Black people.
Right.
I as I've grown in this space, brother, and as I've been doing this for, we're going on 9 years professionally, over 11 years in general, and I am starting to realize that I don't like putting myself in the box. And so that's why I say, no, we make great comics. We make great comics, because I feel like we have created this niche that we feel that Black people belong in. And I don't want to be a part of that, right? We need to be in NASA. We need to be everywhere. Everywhere you go, it needs to be us. And it doesn't have to be a Black this or a Black astronaut. No, it's a perfect astronaut and he's a Black man. And so that's one of the things that we focus on here.
Yeah, yeah. In essence, we need to be what our ancestors dreamed about. We need to
Mhm.
fulfill those dreams and not hinder ourselves as a result. So yeah, yeah,
Absolutely.
I agree with that. But look, Godhood makes several books, but the one that you guys are most known for, your flagship book, is The Antagonist. Um, why don't you talk about what is The Antagonist and what prompted you to make this particular title?
Yeah, man. So I one of my dreams personally is to get married and be a father. Right? That is one of my dreams, to have this beautiful Black traditional family. Um, and a lot of the times, first of all, I'm a super fan of Fantastic Four. You kind of mentioned them earlier. Super fan of The Incredibles. I love family dynamic. I grew up in a big family early on, and once my grandparents died, that kind of fell away, and so I still crave that dynamic. And in media, whether it be movies, comics, or television, you don't get a lot of prominent, solid Black families who are still together, right? Who
Yes.
are still operating. And so that was the reason I created The Antagonist. Now, listen, divorce, trauma, and all these things, they're not, geez, they're not they don't only happen in the Black family. We know they happen everywhere, but I wanted them to be in love. I wanted it to be positive. I wanted the brother and sisters to tease each other, but this is a family that truly loves each other. There is no empire shade. There is no these Black shows where the families are out to kill each other and do this. This is a family of people who actually love each other, and that was the consensus when we were creating them. They needed to love each other, and we wanted to show this positive Black prominent side that this family doesn't need anyone but each other.
Yeah, I love Fast Willie Jackson's comment. Shout out to the Black nuclear family. Like, I don't. Sometimes I talk about this all the
Hell
time.
yeah.
I talk about this all the time. It is so rare in comics for there to be a Black nuclear family. It's super super rare, and you did it. You did it, and we're going to
You,
talk about that Fantastic Four analogy in
well,
a bit.
I do want to say this. I talk about this a lot, and I'm actually writing a research paper on this with one of my SCAD interns. um, how Black people, we have a history of, we're actually historically uh, traditional, historically conservative, historically nuclear, in the sense that those are the three top things that they denied us when we were in slavery. They denied us the right to marriage. They denied us the right to have our children and be able to keep our children, and they denied us the right to God. Right. So they took these three things from us during slavery, and it's why after slavery, when you get into Jim Crow and you get into segregation, it's why you had you had Black families at the height, right, where the father was in the homes, where we were active and involved in our community, and you had these wholesome Black families, and that's what I wanted the antagonist to really represent.
Yeah, yeah. It looks like your light went off behind you, Tyler.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let me get that. Let me get that back on real quick. Hold on, just a second.
We
I
need
had
to
to come
go.
outside, man, because my house is full of kids right now. So you don't want to be in there.
That's all right, man. Hey, shout out to Tron World for the super chat. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate that. Listen, chat, get your questions coming. Derek will be starting the questions. If we have time at the end, I'm going to go through all of your questions. I'm not ignoring you. We want to make sure we give time to get through all the material. All right. So here's the thing. Let's jump into the antagonist. You have a very big framework, a very big cast. And to your point, it's a very diverse cast. It's not, everything this, everything that. You have a little bit of everything. Talk about that.
So one of the things I do when I'm creating a character, before we even get into the physicality, I say, what does this character? Who is this character? We often have to remind ourselves. I think as a comic book creator, which goes back to why I named the company Godhood Comics. As a comic book creator, you have to actually believe that these people exist,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
if I can turn my camera around, my neighbor Bruce over there, right? He's an actual real person. And so when I'm creating these characters, they have to be real. They're living, for me at least. They are real, living, breathing characters in this universe that I created. And so it has to make sense. Any way a character look, it has to make sense. Um, One of the things I try to do is only write for myself. I think when creators, I think we're in a time right now where when creators are creating for other people, and these things end up going bad, and you get flops, and you get a delay in passion, and things don't work out. And so I'm creating these characters for myself, and it just made sense. Obviously, in trying to represent a powerful black family, that all of the characters would be black. In representing, when we're talking about Sheila English, the action agent, who is this powerhouse, that she was also black. Um, and that the Americans represented the core values of what we see on the conservative side of America nowadays, depending on which side you stand on. Whereas I love talking about the Americans, but to answer your question, um, it just made sense, man. And when you're creating them, you think about their goals, their dreams, their ideals, and they kind of create themselves and tell you what color they need to be, how they need to look.
Right.
So I can't take all the credit. It's the characters that speak for through me.
You focus on the story first.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. So let's go through each one of these characters. Start with the mom. It always every family starts with the mom. Ultima. Tell us about Ultima. Who is she?
Tanya Evil. I was raised by a single black mom, a powerhouse. I think the most powerful person on the planet can be a black woman. And this woman taught me everything. She taught me everything. And so it was a lot of their powers coincide with who they are. And so it was very important for me that the most physically, well, second only to the American, but that the most physically powerful woman on the planet be a black mom. And Tanya was created. She is, I describe her. Well, they call her in the in universe. She's called in her villain days as Ultima. She's the Nubian Death. It's because she's always the last thing you see, and she is just such a powerhouse, and we really haven't even got to delve into how powerful she is. Um, but she's this loving mother, a loving wife. She's this she wolf. She protects her family, and at the same time, it wasn't her idea to retire as supervillains. And but she loves her husband. She follows her husband. She'll follow her husband anywhere he goes. And so we see her in modern day times, Tanya Evil, as an executive at a high end real estate agency in Detroit, where she has kind of spent 15 years in this role, really caging the beast, so to speak. And so when we find her, things are getting ready to blow over, and she cannot contain herself for much longer, especially with the BS that happens with her boss and at her job.
Yeah, and she's up for a promotion that
Yep.
she's well earned. She's been promised it. I mean, so we're talking about corporate life. I live a corporate life too, so I can identify with what she's going through here.
Yep.
Promises are made. She puts in the work. She's expecting to get reward because that's how our system in America is supposed to work, right?
Right.
You work hard, you fulfill the goals, you get
Merit.
rewards.
Right.
Everything's merit based. It's not. She's getting it because of affirmative action, DEI. However
Absolutely.
people want to phrase it. It's from all objective standpoints. This job, this promotion is hers, and she's
Right.
pushed over. Why? For reverse affirmative action. They pick the younger, less experienced white dude who fits in with the good old boys over her because she doesn't fit a particular mold. So she feels some kind of way about that, and as a result, she ends up vaporizing her boss.
Hmm. Hmm. This moment for me is that's actually a new page that we added. It wasn't even in the original. If you got your hands on the first couple of issues, when we first came, this page was brand new. But this moment is so significant because she actually makes a decision right here. They've been in hiding for about 20 years at this point, and she knows what's at stake. But her rage and her power and how much she was disrespected by this man like blinds her for a second, which speaks to a lot of our humanity and the mistakes that we make daily. But this part here, it sets the tone for the entire series, and so she'll have to deal with that in the long run. But it's just such a powerful moment for me.
Yeah, yeah. All right, let's go to this next panel. This is the page that I truly appreciated just for the dialogue. Um, it says she just killed her boss. This must be the villain of the story. She must be evil. Webster defines evil as profoundly immoral
And
and
wicked.
wicked. I think it's more of a relative term. Just those two panels sets the tone for the entire rest of the storyline because you wanted to sit here and say this is a story about a superhero family, but they're not a superhero family.
Oh no, no, no.
Technically, they're the villains. But the question becomes, and we're going to see more of this later, if you live, if superheroes are supposed to be the actors of order, the ones that help to perpetuate and maintain order of the status quo of society's norms. You know, they're basically glorified super cops, right? But if the status quo is corrupt and it's evil and it's unjust and unfair, wouldn't those who rail against that status quo be the real heroes of the story? That's kind of the question that the antagonists raise, you know. And I just find that fascinating. That's just from the jump, from these very first few pages, you're like, this is a different type of book.
And you'll find reading the antagonist that I'm truly like this unbiased SOB,
Yeah.
where like I try to operate off completely logic and not my emotions or anything like that. And you kind of see that the way uh, the viewpoint and the opinions change from who's good and who's bad and who's evil. And that's what she's talking about here. I also think that she's also trying to convince herself that what she just did was okay. By calling out his sins and the things that he's done. But I just want to be clear. The way I see it is this is something that she shouldn't have done. Right? This is an evil thing. She shouldn't have killed this guy. There's no reason to kill anyone. And so I used to teach high school, and I one of the things I couldn't stand was when a parent would come and their child was wrong, but they took up for that child. Right? Not only is that not teaching the child accountability, and so I want my children to be accountable, right? No, this is a bad and wrong thing. Now the reality is when we do get delve into the story and we see what happened to Calvin in his past, when we delve into the things that happened to her, then these lines, and Calvin calls it the gray area, his dad taught him about in issue 7, then these lines start to bend and blur, and that's what this whole my editor fought with me to take all of this out, and he's like, no one's going to read all that. I said, listen, if they don't read it, that's fine, but for the people who get it, they're going to get it.
Yeah. I thought it was, I tell your editor, he was wrong. I read it. It set the tone for the whole rest of the book.
Amen. Yep.
It was good that it was early in the book, too.
Exactly.
All right. So we talk about the family dynamic and how, and I love the fact that you said you want to have a real voice. Like you want these to be real people because you have this interaction with these two characters, the father and the daughter. And this is a real conversation. Like I can imagine, you know, my daughter did something bad in school and I'm sitting there having a talk with her. And this is how a father and a daughter talk to each other, except, you know, they have a little something extra. They have to, an extra element. So why don't you talk about
Right. Yeah. So right here, Tanya, it was hard for her to acclimate to civilian life. For Destructus, it was relatively easy. I think this is why he chose to become a principal, to lead a school where he could still be quote unquote in power, right? Still give direction, still give order. He's a natural born leader. Um, and he, as a high school principal, it just worked. I worked in education. I was in administration. I was a high school teacher, and it just made so much sense. And I also worked with a lot of teachers who their kids went to their schools. And so that can be a double-edged sword sometimes, because as Aaliyah says in this issue, on one end, the kids think that we're getting special treatment, and on the other end, the teachers think that, oh man, dang, I forgot what the other one was. But it's a double-edged sword. And this relationship, because she keeps getting in trouble, mind you, as you just pointed out, there's a little something extra here. They have superpowers. They're in hiding. No one's supposed to know they have superpowers. And so this stops Aaliyah from really building a lot of friendships and relationships, because she cannot be herself. She can't be who she really is. And this is something that causes her to act out. And later in the series, we see Calvin stand up and apologize for this. But really, her behavior is her own, but it's also, she's crying out for help. And unfortunately, Calvin and Tanya are not at the mental space right now to attend to their kids as they should be attending to normally.
I also love, and I was remiss in mentioning this earlier, the artwork in this series is fantastic. You have a number of artists. This particular artist on this first issue is one of my favorites. What was the name of this artist? And
This is Giacomo Guida.
Okay, so how much direction do you give your artist in what they present?
So I tell all comic creators, if you're in here and you want to be a comic book creator and you are a comic book creator, you always want to partner with artists who you can give creative control to. My loyalty is not to my ego; it's to the story and the characters. If I write something and the artist feels like it could be better, we do that. We try that out, and
Yeah.
winner takes all. And so with my writing style, I need that, because I'm very quick and short and simple. And so I need an artist that's going to take my one sentence and create something like this, right? So my artists have.
Uh-oh. Looks like we lost him for a sec. It's still there. But I want to point out something that there he
Sorry
is.
about that. So my artists have a ton of creative control, and it makes for a better comic book.
Right. Something I wanted to point out, Fast Willie Jackson mentions the lettering. I love and I agree with him. Like, I love the fact that you have this lettering where certain words are sort of emphasized, makes it stand out. Was that something that you thought up? Was it your letterer who thought of that? How did that
Yeah,
come?
so this is a letter called Letter Squids. His name is Justin from Letter Squids, and we really put him on the map. Now you see a lot of black-owned indie comics, and I don't own the guy, right? But now you see a lot of black-owned indie comics. Sorry, you see a lot of black-owned indie comic book creators now using him. But people forget, and I'm glad that was an amazing comment. Lettering is also an art form.
Yeah.
And so I always tell, uh, when you're creating a comic book, it needs to appeal to the five senses. You should be able to smell the heat vision, feel the heat vision. You should be able to hear the heat vision. You should be able to taste the heat vision in your mouth, this kind of metallic type of taste. And lettering can portray that. Lettering can get that done. It's an art form in itself. Hire a real letterer. Don't do it yourself. When you look at comic books where they've done the lettering themselves, it just looks bad. So I'm glad someone pointed that out. But yes, that was always my intention, to have high quality letters, whether it be through Justin or anybody else, because it is an art form in itself, and it's just the same as drawing the characters.
You also have this comment here from iManifesto. He says he writes family dynamics well, like Brandon Thomas. We had Brandon on here a few weeks ago, who just finished writing the Black Lightning for DC.
Yes.
And this dynamic between Destructus and Aaliyah reminds me of the relationship between Black Lightning and his daughter.
Yes.
Yeah. So I thought that was kind of. Did you intentionally make him a principal and have this type of scene? Because it really reminded me of that.
You know what's crazy, man? When I was writing this, because I didn't like I didn't like the CW Black Lightning show all too well. I mean, it's
Mhm.
CW, so anything is going to be sketchy there. But I didn't realize he was a principal until after like the first two pages were already done, and then I started getting into it.
Mm.
But that's another thing that I want to stray away from, where it's like there can only be one black principal, right? No, what do you? In fact, we should have every school should have a black principal, right? So I didn't want to change that. But as far as the dynamic, I just wrote her as I see myself as I'm a godfather, I'm an uncle, and I'm a nephew. I'm and a godfather and an uncle, and I just wanted to write a positive black male role model. And if you read this story and you see how she's getting so emotional and upset, and he just kind of keeps his cool. He leads and directs the conversation. He doesn't raise his voice until he tells her that he loves her too, and so I think that's powerful. And when you're raising kids, but no, I didn't model it off of that, but I agree. I love Brandon Thompson's run, but I also, when I go back and watch the CW episodes and how they wrote that family dynamic and how a black dad deals with his daughters, because listen, you're looking at 4 out of 3 black girls don't have a dad at home.
Mm.
That's statistics. That's statistics. We're talking about, I mean, sorry, 3 out of 4. 3 out of 4. And so we wanted to drive that home, and we'll delve more to their relationship in the series. But they are really close, and they fight really well together, and that's something else we're going to experience. But yeah.
We also have the youngest Taj. He gets real fascinating with his power set, because his power set is his brain. It's not a physical power set like the rest of the family. He's very unique in that regard. And you when he's first introduced, he seems more like the annoying little brother type. But as the story progresses, you realize just how powerful and how much potential this character has. Why don't you talk about the inspiration behind Katash?
So Todd is one of my favorite characters because, like you said, his powers aren't physical. So you have to kind of write his powers in situationally. Um, it's very important to note that his superhuman intellect is stunting his adolescence, right? So his brain is growing at a capacity and absorbing knowledge and information, and has been since he was born at such a capacity where it's stunting his childhood. It's stunting the want to play with toys or watch cartoons or do these things. And so I used to love this show called Evil Kids. And kind of delving into the mind of what would make a child evil. And a lot of it is being exposed to adult things early on, right? Whether that be mental, physical, or sexual abuse. And so his brain is outgrowing his adolescence, and that is making him more sinister. It's making him more serious. It's making him more. I say that out of the entire family, he's the true supervillain, and we will see that in future issues and things like that. But he's such an interesting character because, despite all of that, he absolutely loves his family. I would say that he's like Dexter's Laboratory times 10, loves his family. And if you get in his way or his family's way, you will be dealt with. And we're going to see that very soon.
Yeah, yeah. He's the one that has the most morally ambiguous. And then there's the oldest brother, the one that looks just like Michael B. Jordan.
Traylon, yep.
Right. So tell us about Trey and what his power set is.
So Trey is, I would say, he has a healing factor likened to Deadpool. That's how I described him to the artist. Where you've got Wolverine, who, if Wolverine's head is cut off, it doesn't grow back. Deadpool's head does grow back, and so Trey's head will grow back. And he is the oldest Evil son, but he's also the one who is least like his parents. He has a naturally good heart. He is a positive moral character. He would, in all counts, be a superhero if that were the possibility. Um, and so that puts him at odds when he discovers what his parents are, who his parents are, and what they used to be. That puts him at odds with them and his family. And he battles, he wrestles with his place and where he fits in, not only in the Ebel family but in the world in general. But yeah, Trey is an MMA fighter. He fights in the underground superhero fighting league. unbeknownst to his parents and family, of course, because he shouldn't be doing that, right? And he heals almost instantly. But if it's life threatening, then it takes a while. Uh, and I love using him. He's like our punch dummy, our guinea pig, where we can throw him out in anything and he'll bounce back up. And that's kind of how he is as a character mentally as well.
And I was remiss. I actually forgot to have you cover what is Destructus and Aaliyah's power sets. I don't think we
Yeah,
specifically
yeah,
asked.
definitely. So Destructus is basically Professor X and Jean Grey. So he's a powerful telepath and a powerful telekinetic, and kind of can do anything in regards to those parameters. Aaliyah is she can phase through solid, gaseous, and liquid matter. So she can walk through walls, air, sea, or whatever the case is. And then that power is also we'll find that it's going to allow her to take on this like rogue S power set where she can absorb the powers and use of anyone that she touches soon.
And we'll talk about this a little bit later, because for all intents and purposes, she's very similar to Shadowcat of the X-Men, except you see her use her power in an offensive way that you don't see Shadowcat do, and it makes such sense, and it's scary as hell as well. So
Well, I actually was reading the Chris Claremont X-Men Marauders, and I
yeah,
saw Shadowcat do some things that I was where people really forget how powerful this girl is,
right.
because she doesn't use it that way. And so, my excitement writing for Aaliyah is that you're going to see her. We've got to listen. We got 150 issues to get through. We're only on issue 14 right now. She is going to do some things that puts that power to walk through walls in perspective. So I'm glad you said that because that's something I'm super excited to get into.
Yeah, most definitely, most definitely. All right, I love how on the back you've got this usual suspects type of imagery. Is there any significance to this other than it's just really cool?
Yeah, no, it was just really cool. I was like, well, how, as a family, and they all they got captured and they had to take their like police station pictures, and what it would look like, and it's just like this. Obviously, they're covered in blood from fighting, and they've been captured, and it's just this funny comedic scene that hey, they're the bad guys. Oh well, deal with it.
Blood is a sea is a common recurrence in their visual presentation. They're constantly covered in blood. What is that symbolic of?
It's symbolic that most likely it's never theirs. Right? It's it's never theirs, and I want people to understand that. Um, in fact, uh, we make sure anytime that even when we show them beat up, right? We make sure that you never see Trey. Because by the time you never see Trey damaged or beat up, because by the time the camera would take the shot, he would be healed completely. But yeah, it's just that they've been through hell and back, and that's why you see them that way.
Yeah, and they're bonded by blood. Both
There you go.
both their own
I'm
and
using that next time. I'm taking that next time.
others. Feel free. It's both their own blood and others. Um, so let's get into the quote unquote. I don't even like to call them heroes because are they? But the heroes of this universe, the Americans. Talk about these people.
So absolutely love the Americans. The American is one of my favorite characters to write for. He's one of my favorite
Yeah,
characters in the antagonist. And you're wrong. You're very wrong, and this is why I created the Americans, because perception and the complexities and how we are programmed to believe certain things.
yeah.
By all accounts, technically, the Tanya and Calvin Evil are supervillains. They did horrible things. They killed a lot of people, even though it was for a means to an end, even though it was to eliminate oppression and eliminate slavery and do all these things, they did murder a bunch of people, right?
Mhm.
They did launch a nuclear missile. They are supervillains. And then you have the Americans who are these real humans. And let me just make something very, very, very clear. The Americans are not racist.
No.
They don't have a thing against black people. And I did that.
Particularly the American himself. He comes across
Particularly
as
the American himself. And I did that for a reason because we have to look at it both ways, that we all come to prejudgment. And that's what I designed them to do. Because if you look at this picture, our people, man, especially us, that's what you see. We're programmed to see that these guys hate us. And I did that strategically, man. And I always have to take up for them. They are flawed. They Sergeant Freedom, he kills, right? He's not a he's a mix between Captain America and Frank Castle.
yeah.
And if you notice, all except for the American, they have the first name and last the first letter and their first and last names match who they are designed after, right? So Benjamin Whale is the
Bruce
eagle, and
Wayne.
he's Bruce Wayne. Dorothy Pride, Diana Prince, Liberty Lady. Brandon Adams, Barry Allen, home runner, and then Frederick Cavern, which is Frank Castle.
Yeah, Castle.
I was like, "What's another thing that you live in?" And it's a cavern, and so that's kind of interesting. But yeah, man, they are, when we see them at this point, they've only been together for about 6 months. So they were this new team, Liberty Lady and the American. They are lovers, and they've been dating, and they've been working together for about 5 years at this point. And he assembles the Americans, and what it's supposed to be is a team of. There's a Captain America run where he's fighting the guy with the American flag on his face, and Captain America looks at him and says, "That's why I love Captain America." He looks at him and says, "There's a difference between patriotism and fascism, and patriotism taken too far is fascism."
Yeah.
Um, and so they're patriots. They love their country. Listen, I'm a black man, and I listen. If you told me I can go somewhere right now, I'm not going. I love America. I'm an American, right? And they embody that. Now, some of them, as far as Sergeant Freedom and Home Runner, they are a little in the gray area where they do things that we'll see in the story. But the core, and then we see Liberty Lady, who, especially after the American dies, she really goes on this bender. And what I'm writing now, this fight between her and Ultima, who are arch nemesis, where she looks in the mirror and Ultima says, "See, you look like me." And it just goes to what we talked about earlier, that these lines are blurred, but for all accounts they are heroes. They do not kill. And how I measure um villain and hero in this series is who's killing innocent civilians,
Yeah.
who's, or not even intentionally, who's causing the death of innocent civilians. And so far, especially 20 years ago, that was Ultima and Destructus, and they tried to help those civilians. And then more so the American, he is a hero. Him and Calvin have a long history. They definitely love each other. Destructus has gone on record as saying that the American was the most honorable man that he had ever known. Unfortunately, they just disagreed on certain principles.
Yeah, I mean, the American, he presents physically looking more like Superman, but the words that come out of his mouth is pure Steve Rogers. Like, it's not about, because you have this conversation between Destructus and the American where they're having their philosophical debate, and Destructus is pointing out the evils of the world, so to speak, and
I love that
American,
scene, man.
yeah, it's a great scene. It's really, really well written, and Americans pointing out, look, I understand that there are things that are wrong, but wrong with America, but I focus on America's potential and what it could be and what it should be, and that's what I fight for. And I'm like, that's a very Steve Rogers, approach. You
And
said all these characters have a. Oh, please go ahead. What you gonna say?
yeah, well, I was gonna say, and in that scene, it was designed because they're both right and they're both wrong,
Right,
right? We do have to start looking forward, or we'll never get to we'll never be able to level up. But also, you can't not address the past.
right,
You can't hide the past in the dirt. And so these are what they're talking about, where they are both right. The American says we got to move on, man. We've got to build a better America than the one of yesterday. And the truck is like, we can't do that unless we address the injustices that happened in the past. And they're both right, but they're both wrong. And that's the ideology and why they disagree.
you said each one of these characters are sort of their names are kind of similar to characters, the other characters, the well-known characters.
Hmm.
The only one I don't get is John Turner. What name is that?
So his real name is Nathaniel John Turner, and I just say like, what's the I googled, and then I also said, what is the most Americanized name that you could come up with, and it was I think the second one was Turner, to your surprise, and then obviously it was Jonathan. And he's kind of got that John Adams kind of vibe going on, and so it was John Adams Turner, but then I turned it into Nathaniel John Turner.
All right, all right. So, as you said, 20 years ago, and we'll talk more about the background between Destructus and American, because they were partners at one point. Destructus was American's sidekick for all intents and purposes. But they had a falling out, and then there's this incident 20 years ago where Ultima and Destructus are making their play as villains on DC, and the American has to sacrifice himself. God bless America, And then as a result, without the hindrance or conscience, Destructus' conscience, American kind of represents his conscience, the vestiges of his past as a hero.
Absolutely.
He is then let loose to be a full-blown villain because the last tie to his superheroic past is gone, and he goes full-blown villain. And I love this panel. I've shared this so often, it's crazy. But you see him in the Oval Office. You've got the president, the Joint Chiefs bowing to him. The visual on that and the words he says, "Bring me your Secretary of Treasury. I want reparations paid out to every African American in this country by the end of the week." I'm like, this is a very Killmonger moment.
Right.
There's a side of you that was like, man, this is kind of dope. And you overlook the fact of what you said. He killed a whole bunch of innocent people to get to this point. So that's why I said it's a very Killmonger moment. It's like, I want to free my people, and I'll kill a whole bunch of people to get there, to do that.
And so I want to make that, before I go back to the comment with the American being his conscience. I'm glad you got that. That is so crazy, because in issue 3 he talks about the American wasn't supposed to die. That missile, he was hoping, the plan was that the American, that American, the president would surrender, and there would be no violence, right? They would take over, and then we would surrender, and they would be able to take power. And so he was hoping that the American would divert that missile. He certainly didn't want it to hit, obviously. And the American just went straight forward, and it killed him. But for years, the American kept Calvin from going too far, and he depended on that. He needed that. Him and Ultima talk about this in issue 3. And so when he was out the way, that madness and that hurt and pain was able to come full circle. And this moment right here, and so I always wonder, when I was designing Destructus, how he would feel about Killmonger. And my conclusion was that he would absolutely despise Killmonger, and he would have absolutely killed Killmonger, because Destruction isn't necessarily pro-black as he is anti-oppression.
Yeah.
Right. And so he's who is being oppressed, and he certainly isn't going to kill. There's a scene, we have a flashback in the issues coming up where he reprimands Ultima repeatedly about her fallout damage, or whatever it's called. I forgot what it was called, where people are getting killed. And so he's never been an outright killer, and he's never tried to take innocent lives. But right here, the most, it just so happens that the most oppressed people in this country are us, and so he wants to address that the first second he's in the Oval Office, and I found that to be funny, because can you imagine that? But yeah, man.
I thought it was cool. I thought it was very, very cool. So then we fast forward a bit, because the story jumps around past and future as you're unfolding the story, and they have at this point forsaken their criminal past, and they're trying to live normal lives as a family, settled down in the burbs. He's got the job as a principal, she's working as the real estate mogul, and guess who comes to dinner? the Darlings. We have the Evals, which are this black nuclear family. You've got the Darlings, which is kind of this white nuclear family, and there's four of them. And the guy with the father has sort of the graying temples. It very much reminds me of the Fantastic Four.
Yeah,
Um,
so definitely supposed to be um a mimicry of the Fantastic Four. And with Little Johnny, he's supposed to be Little Johnny. We gender swapped been she looks like a 1930s Jewish woman. The sister, the young daughter is,
yeah.
and the Darlings, we see them only on issue 4 very briefly, and they are instantly killed. And so we would not have introduced this family unless there was going to be some long term things with them. So I'm super excited to get back into the Darlings.
What's also interesting throughout your book, we saw the picture on issue 1 where you had a picture of Malcolm X on the wall. And you also have this picture of this person here. Who's this?
That is Madam C.J. Walker.
Madam C.J. Walker. Throughout your series, you have this imagery of black heroes. Like our boy Richard, he always talks about, black people have real life superheroes in our history. And one of the ones he mentions is Malcolm X. Obviously, Madam C.J. Walker is another one. Um, is that intentional? What you throw these images in these books?
Yeah, because remember that the antagonist is meant to portray this black excellence, this
Yeah.
prominence, where and no shade, no shade, where to be successful you don't have to be an entertainer or an athlete.
Mhm.
You don't have to be a degenerate. You don't have to, and that's why I put it and every time, and you'll see over the course of the series, I've got 5 new ones coming in and further issues where you see these imageries of these powerful, prominent, excellent black leaders who also stood outside of the black community and were loved as well. A lot of now, let's get into technicalities. Malcolm X was killed by his own brothers, right? A lot of white people back then was really liking what this guy was talking about. And also, Madam C.J. Walker, she was the first black millionaire. Every time we put remind you guys, well, every time we put one of these influential leaders in the page, I'm trying to remind our readers that we are capable of every and anything.
Yeah. So as you mentioned, the Darlings come over for dinner. There's a philosophical difference between, the Darlings and the Evals in terms of politics and viewpoints and what have you. But they didn't get a chance to really get into the deep dives in those differences because they were quickly invaded by the man and killed instantly. What was the purpose of killing them so early?
I wanted to, well, first of all, we've kind of seen it in other issues, but with this issue, I really wanted you to know that lives are at stake, that anybody can go at any time. Um, and it was just one of those wow factors. Now, when you see who the Darlings are and what they're capable of and why they were sent there and all of that, then you know that they're okay. Well, I can't spoil it, but we'll see them again. But it was just more of a pow, like this is real. They had found them. This is Tanya's act. This is Tanya's consequence for killing her boss.
Yeah, yeah. Um, and you have this agent of
Action, the American Counter-Terrorist Inquiry of Nemesis, meaning supervillains, and their job at the action only logs, captures, contains, and hunts supervillains.
now this particular guy has an axe to grind with the Evals specifically. Can you go talk about who this character is?
Yeah, so this is Death Toll, and just like his namesake, Kevin Pitcher says nobody's safe, nobody's safe. When you first introduce Death Toll, and I want to mention how we get people. A lot of people get confused about how you say their last name because of how it's spelled. That we get Evals and this, but it's Evil, like kind of like Evil. like from, I should have spelled it like Robert Neville from I Am Legend, but it's Evil, so it's so it's the Evils. But Death Toll has a personal vendetta that we get into later on against Ultima and Destructus, as a lot of people do that you see throughout the series. But he has been trained to hunt supervillains. He has no powers. He's been trained to hunt and to hunt and capture supervillains. His problem is he always ends up killing them. And so he at this point he hadn't believed that they would ever find Destructus and Ultima. So he kind of brushes it off when his handler here, Reginald Owens, comes up to him and tells him that they've possibly found them, and he just doesn't believe it.
Yeah. This Reginald Owens character you see to the left reminds me of that one guy in Invincible.
And that's exactly who he's inspired by, Donald.
Okay. Okay.
And Reginald Owens, he's a real life guy. He's my mentor. He was
Oh, Tyler got frozen
but
again.
like, he was my handler, so to speak, and kept me on track and kept me updated on everything and what to do and what not to do. And Reginald Owens in this universe does the same thing for Death Toll.
All right. So when they're attacked, it was interesting because one of the things I think is great about your series, although you do a lot of storytelling, you never, sell us short on action. There's always action. There's always some action in the book. And this is the first time we've seen Ultima, vaporize her boss, but we really haven't seen what she's really capable of. And you see her cut loose when her family's in danger. Just how dangerous is the Nubian, what do you call her? The Nubian death.
So she is very dangerous, and that was what this scene was meant to convey. And they weren't ready for that. I think Death Toll was, obviously, but these guys individually didn't know what they were up against. They've been up against hundreds of thousands of supervillains, and have come out okay. In some cases, maybe not in others. And I think at this point, Death Toll is kind of using them as, I love one of my favorite quotes from Ian McKellen's Magneto is when he says, "In chess, the pawns go first." And so I think this is what Death Toll's plan was. But this is Ultima's excuse to let loose in the back of her mind. And also remember, she's a she-wolf. She's protecting her family. But they could have sent a million of these men in, and it would have ended the same way. She will not hesitate to cut you down. She is more violent, more criminally functioning than um, her husband Destructus, and that's why they work so well together. They are the opposite sides of a coin, and they also keep each other in check and hold each other accountable. She was his bruiser and his enforcer throughout their supervillain run. She was the one that did all the dirty work, got her hands dirty for him while he planned and plotted and did that. But um, yeah, this is her unleashed, and we will see that a lot over the series. But this was mild work, what she did to them, than what we will see her coming soon.
What is her power set?
So um, she's literally Superman. She's literally Superman.
Flight,
Um,
vulnerability, super
right.
strength,
Yep.
laser beam.
Yep. She has the X-ray vision. So she's literally Superman. And just in Black woman form, I tell people.
Okay. All right. So ultimately, the forces kind of overcome the Evol. How did you pronounce it?
Evil.
Evils. The
Yep.
Evils. Thank you for correcting me because I
Of course.
never knew how to pronounce the name. The
And
Evils.
no one does. It's all right, brother.
And we have a new player pop up on the scene, a government agent who has an axe to grind with the Evils, but with a little bit of a twist. She's actually trying to help the kids. Who is this person?
So this is Agent Sheila English, and we see in issue 5 that she does have an axe to grind. She lost her fiance during Ultima and Destructus attack on the city, which we call A-Day. Her and her fiance, they were both uniformed police officers, and her fiance Francine, she got caught in one of Ultima was fighting helicopters. Francine got caught in the collateral damage, and of course, she blames Ultima and Destructus for Francine's death. And so she is uh she's reached by she Action reaches out to her and they say, hey, you can serve a better purpose, you can turn your vengeance into justice and law. And so she became a FBI agent as a wing for Action. But Action is kind of ran by someone who has ulterior motives, who is evil. And so at this point, when she sees Action about to execute some kids, now mind you, she's the one that actually discovered Ultima and Destructus' location. She goes to the crime scene, takes over the crime scene of Ultima's boss being killed, and she smells Ultima's heat vision. And she has only smelled that heat vision once in her life, and that was when Francine was dying and Ultima was using it. So she instantly knows who this is, and she feels responsible. She is the reason Action showed up to this house, and she's the reason Action is about to kill these kids. But she is about the law and the right thing and by the book, and so she has to save these kids. And when they're about to actually kill the kids, she's like, what is going on here? And so her heroic and police officer instincts, and she comes alive and she protects them.
There was some symbolism with the Malcolm X picture, but it also hides a deep secret. It hides the Evals, I don't know, lair?
Pathway to the lair, yep.
Pathway to the lair. And this is where they first realize from speaking with this agent who their parents really are.
Yes.
Yeah. This is where we talk about Aaliyah's powers, the Shadowcat powers, and how when it's used in an offensive manner, it's quite destructive.
Yes.
Talk about this scene right here, because I've never seen Shadowcat. I've seen Shadowcat do some great things, so particularly in this latest iteration, but I've never seen the use of powers like this. This is pretty dope.
Yeah, and I think right here it was completely accidental. She hadn't used her powers offensively like that before. And from what she sees, I won't spoil it, but she sees something and it causes her to go into tears and a rage. And I think her and her powers at the time agree that we have to stop these men before anything else bad happens. And this is how that manifests, and we'll see a lot of that in the series.
Yeah. All right. This is the before and after shot. I love these two. Issue 1, you've got the family in the living room. They've got their nice clothes on. Malcolm's on the wall. Issue 6, covered in blood, bonded by blood, right?
There you go.
In blood. The Malcolm X picture is now off center and ripped. They've been through some things. It's a hell of a progression. And then here we've got a picture of the great Nina Simone on the wall. Why Nina?
Well, first of all, I loved her music. I listen to a lot of Nina Simone when I'm writing, and a lot of her stuff, especially Misunderstood and Centerman. Oh man, they get me in the mood to write some antagonists, about perspective, about injustice, about being yourself, and more importantly, about speaking out. And I want to reiterate that um, Destructus became a supervillain because of what happened to his little sister that we see in issue 7, but he stays one because he sees the authorities and the governments, and especially the United States government, and how they act abroad, here and abroad, and that these people are. Yes, DC Comics did steal this cover from me.
Yeah, I remember it was in the was it I Am Batman series?
Yes,
That
yes,
I think I actually posted this on our Twitter feed,
you
both
did,
this cover and I tagged you on it.
and I got rid of this cover indefinitely. We took it out all the books. I stopped printing it, and we took it out of any pages because I didn't want to have to continue to defend that we had did this cover first. And this cover went viral. This cover raised over $80,000 on Kickstarter. Right, this cover went viral, and so I first of all, imitation is the greatest form of flattery. So wasn't by at all upset at it or anything like that. But this is a more prominent company, right? So if they are stealing or they're copying our idea and not giving us the credit that we deserve, then people are going to think that it was the other way around, and that they did and then we copied. But yes, man, thank you for saying that. Yes,
Yeah,
they did.
that's why I definitely wanted to point that out, because I don't want people to think that they start saying Godhood stole from this. Nah. So.
Right. And I didn't want to defend that. I didn't want to keep defending that because we were getting those comments. And I'm like, guys, you have no idea. And when I first saw it, I was like, wow, I've done something good. Like I am on track. That is a sign that we are doing something right. But it was unfortunate to see, and unfortunately, the writer, both one of the artists and the writer of that issue, they both followed me, followed Godhood, and it would have been as easy as like, hey man, this is dope. We want to use it. Do you mind? How can we uplift Godhood while doing it? It was been so easy.
Yeah. What issue number was this that this cover
This
was?
was number one. This was number one.
So if you have this, for all those in the chat, if you have this cover, consider yourself lucky because you ain't gonna
So
find
lucky, so lucky.
so lucky.
I will. There's going to be a point where I buy that back. Where if you have that, because we're not printing, I have no copies of my persons with this, and so there's going to be a time one day where I'm going to be like, "Listen, guys, I will give y'all $100 for this issue."
I know there's a bunch of people right now because it's Black Comic. There's a bunch of people right now going on eBay. See what's on this bad boy.
Right, exactly.
Particularly my producer. My producer is probably not even paying attention to
Oh
this.
man.
He's on eBay right now. All right, so flashback time. So where did Destructus and Ultimate get their power? So they first met when they were back in high school. He was a nerd. She was, I guess, a bad girl. They eventually hook up, and this event happens in the world. What is the event?
So they are right here. They're losing their virginity together, actually. And again, even in the flashback, we see how opposites attract. How they again are two sides of a whole, two halves of a whole. Whereas he's the brains and we see him getting picked on here. He doesn't care. He's smarter than everybody in the house. He doesn't really focus on it. But she gets up and she punches the girl who humiliated him, and they have that fun. She's having some alcohol. She's into him. She's always kind of been into him, and so they hook up that night. And while they're hooking up, luckily, thank God for them, they're outside of the house, and this meteor is coming down, and it actually crashes into the house full of teenagers. I mean, this house, there's a house party going on, and this meteor crashes and explodes a house full of teenagers. So that night, probably about 50 to 60 teenagers got killed. So that was probably a tragic event back then in that town. But one of the chunks then lands somewhere else, and it's this glowing meteorite um, that we find out did not come from outer space, by the way, uh, soon on. But they're exposed to it. It's warm. They bathe in the radiation, and it gives them their superpowers. Grind it down. When this meteorite is grinded down into a gas, it is the same thing that gave the American his superpowers, as well as the other countrymen like the Russian, the Haitian, and El Mexicano.
All right. All right. So then fast forward, Destructus has powers now, and he decides to do what anybody who gets superpowers would naturally want to do. He decides to become a superhero. Specifically, he is the sidekick to the American. He goes by a different name at this point. Tell us to talk about this.
Yeah, so this is right here. He is Kid Justice. I mean, even before he became the American sidekick, he created this uniform in honor of the American. And remember, if you don't know, his dad was very patriotic. The Destructive's dad was a military man. He was, and we see in issue 3 where they say he says, well, we were up at 5 a.m. and in bed by 8 p.m. They had a strict schedule. His dad was I want to say a Marine. And so he grew up in that, you could do anything. Don't let people think that just because you're black, you can't do anything. You can do anything. America's the greatest country in the world, blah, blah, blah. So he was always patriotic. His dad was. So when he first got those powers, he created this outfit for himself and went after and start saving the day and helping out in his community. And he got the attention of the American that way. And the American saw he was a good kid and he took him under his wing. And for about 2 years, they fought together, and the American treated him like he was his own son.
Yeah, they were really close.
They were very close, man.
All right, but something happens. Destructus has a younger sister who goes missing.
Yeah.
And when he finds her and finds what was happened to her and what, he feels some type of way.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's very important to, at this point, um, everything that the American is, he has laid upon Calvin. So Calvin knows the expectations. He knows what they do and what they don't do. And the American is always against killing. He is always against killing. He's always that he maintains because they are this powerful. The American, if I had to put him on a power scale, he would be in between, right under Superman and right over Omni Man. And obviously over Homelander, but that's another story. But he at the time, he is the most powerful person on the planet, and he understands that, and he knows he could never take a life. And so this is this ultimate. But I think he messed up. Also, I think a lot of it. I think a lot of what Calvin needed here was love, and not. We don't do that. And so the American, one day, if we ever see him again, um, he will have to deal with that he lost Calvin. Uh, Calvin needed a hug here. I just feel like, I don't know, man. I think he needed something else other than we don't do that, or don't do that, or whatever the case was.
Yeah, I get the impression that Calvin really needed empathy at this moment, and you describe it so well because your writing is so on point. I'm not saying that because you're here, because I was a fan of this before you got here, but you put here, my father used to say that the difference between right and wrong was the gray. He said the gray was where our true intentions laid. I love that line. I love every part of that line. We talk about that
Thanks,
all the
bro.
time. Something broke in me that day. The moment I felt my little sister's lifeless body, all I could see was gray. Calvin of Evil went into that house, but Destructus came out. Candace was my anchor, my reason for trying to make my community a better place. So, his sister was kind of what was motivating him to be a good person,
Mm-hmm.
good, to be a hero, to inspire his community, to help his community. And when that person's gone, and they're gone in the manner that she was
Oh
taken
man,
away from
bro,
him.
I was crying writing it, bro.
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
crying writing it because it was horrible. I mean, you're talking about some lovely bones type shit, right?
right.
Excuse my language, but yeah, man.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, it's not just I just decided to wake up today and become a supervillain. Like, there's reasons for this. Like, there was when your reality is defined around this person, and your values come from trying, this person, and that's taken away in a very brutal, terrible fashion, and that literally breaks something inside of you.
All that
What will
bull
happen?
that the
Yeah,
Americans talking goes
yeah,
out the water.
off the water.
And to
Um,
the Americans' point, and this is another example of where they're both right and they're both wrong. I probably would have did that too. Let somebody mess with my goddaughter, my niece. I'm gonna blow their brains out, bro.
yeah,
Right?
yeah,
But at the same time, the Americans' point is, and I think one of my favorite characters, my favorite comic book character ever is Batman. And to his point, in a lot of his iterations, his best iterations were Bruce Timm's run, Justice League Unlimited, the Batman animated show, where when you cross that line, there is no going back
right.
because you've crossed it, and from there it's downhill. And so the American knows what this means. It means 2 years of their relationship. It means everything. He was at this point, he was grooming Calvin to take his place one day. I mean, everything goes that goes away. The American is at this point, he's about 80 years old. He got his powers in the 60s. It keeps him young, and he's basically immortal. So he knows what this means in this rage and what this will happen, and it's more or less not about him losing Calvin, but it's about Calvin losing himself. So they're very both right in this situation, and that's how I wrote it.
And that's exactly how it comes across too. So he decides to become a villain. Gets Ultima. They go against the countryside, and tries to bring the world to their knees. But what's interesting is they actually try to organize, right? It's not simply we're just going to be villains just for being villain's sake. It's like what you were talking about before. He wants to fight against oppression. Now, he does it in a negative fashion, but from his perspective, in his head, he's fighting oppression. He's fighting the good fight. It's not just a selfish, I want to knock over a bunch of banks and just, get my guap up. I'm trying to make societal change. So he bonds these villains together, and that's what leads to this confrontation with the American.
Absolutely. He knows that, hey, in order to, and I still wrestle with um what his plans were. What if they actually succeeded in really taking her, or they almost succeeded, but if she didn't get pregnant, right? At that moment she's throwing up because she's pregnant. What happens if they didn't take a break? How that would have looked. And I think if I go the invincible route one day and do an alternate universe or reality, I think that would be pretty cool to explore. But he creates the League of Destruction, and it is a registry. It's almost like the Sokovia Accords, where he is requiring every supervillain on the planet to register and become a member of the League of Destruction. And if they don't, they will die. And we actually see him killing a lot of them in coming issues that do not sign up. And so he creates this huge community of supervillains, where, like you said, well, they organize. And he says that all of their murderous tendencies are aimed now to meet his needs, and he kind of takes control in issue 6 of them. Um, but yeah, he organized, and they plan, they plot. I mean, this is what this event is called A Day. It's kind of like our universe is September 11th. And A Day, they planned A Day for over a year. And it all, unfortunately, it all went according to his plan.
It's also, I love the fact that you call them the League of Destruction. It's kind of like the play on the term the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, which is sort of retroactively written as, well, we weren't saying that we were evil. It was a play on the fact that, Magneto's saying all the humans think mutants are evil, so we're going to embrace that. I'm going to call ourselves the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. League of Destruction, and from Destructus's standpoint, we're destroying this corrupt, evil system, this oppressive system. So we're the league that's going to deconstruct this evil system, this oppressive system.
And that's his thought. That's easier said than done. A
Right.
lot of the people in the League of Destruction are actually super evil. They are these murderous maniacs, like the Electrician, and it's kind of and Ultima has to. There's an issue I'm writing now where Ultima is zipping all around the world to kind of keep this organization in order. Um, we see in another issue that why he calls himself Destructus. After his sister dies, he and the American for the next 10 years have these battles where they are constantly seeing each other. Destructus has done something bad, the American shows up to stop him, and they do this for 10 years before A Day. And about 3 years after his sister dies, and he's actively a supervillain now, and he is doing petty stuff like knocking over bank trucks and doing this stuff, kind of figuring out what he needs and who he is. And the American says to him in one issue that everywhere, what have you become? Everywhere you go, everything that you are, you have become a tool of destruction. And so Destructus takes on the moniker, and he takes off the kid Justice gear, and he builds him a new suit, and he becomes Destructus. And so the League of Destruction, to your point, were that these are the people, the outcasts of society, and some as well as they should be, but they kind of take on that name because they are expected to destroy. And but to his point, let's bring order to destruction. And that's kind of his whole steez, man, bringing order to destruction.
Yeah, you see in this scene that he's chastising these other members of the League of Destruction by saying, you never go out of your way to kill innocent people.
Yep.
So he's trying to have sort of last vestiges of his hero status, his conscience as a hero.
And even then, he can't run away from. This issue is so interesting to me because I look back at it, and even then, he cannot outrun the ideals that the American has given him, the ideals that his dad has given him, his own, like you called it earlier, his self conscious. Even there's remnants of it right there.
Yeah. All right. He needs obedience. I founded the League of Destruction for one reason: to form an international criminal organization to unite, control, and manage the dangerous miscreants around the world, to keep supervillains all over the planet under my heel, in turn used for my benefit. So when I hear him say things like this, I really think that in his own mind, all of this makes sense. Like, what better way what's a better way to cause order in the world but to control all the criminals? Instead of saying, I'm going to fight against the criminals, I'm going to unionize them. I'm going to tax them. I'm going to, organize them.
Man,
I don't.
I wrote a fan made Batman comic, and it's called Batman the Masked Man, in which Hush, the Red Hood, and Black Mask all are at this meeting, and they get together and they say and they talk about their years of trying to fight Batman and how no one can beat Batman. And the Red Hood comes up with this concept that he says, well, in order to beat, I said, you can't. He's like, you can't beat Batman. The order to get rid of Batman is to get rid of crime. And so Hush and Red Hood and Black Mask, they use their resources, their wealth, and their goons to literally eliminate crime in Gotham. Right? And so in that way, there's no need for Batman, and their own underground criminal dealings go unseen for a time before he and Gordon catch on. But this to your point, where Destructus is like, this is, we're not getting rid of this. We need to control.
Tyler got frozen again. This is not an entirely unusual concept either. Historically speaking, this has happened before, right?
Right.
We had pirates, the Buccaneers.
Yes.
They were privateers, so to speak. But in essence, they were criminals that were given license by governments to go wreak havoc. We're going to allow you to go ahead and wreak havoc on the seas, but you're going to do it under our flag.
And in our way.
In our way, you're going to go against all our enemies. Just don't hit our own ships, but you can go against all of our enemies. Do whatever you want. Just give us our VIG. Give us a cut of what you get, and you can do whatever you want.
Right, exactly.
All right, so we fast forward. We saw that the kids had finally entered the lair. I don't want to be super spoilery as to what happens, but you finally get to see Taj unleash his power. Talk about that.
Yeah, so there I when we get to see the kids' powers, as I said before, in this issue, you need to remember they have not had to use their powers like this. And then outside of Trey fighting and getting a few broken bones and bruises and cuts, they have never had to do anything so drastic. And so these Taj has gadgets that he's built since the age of 5 that he never had to use or never got to use,
Right.
right? And so we'll see what all exactly what these things are, and these drones that were designed to kind of defend his house, his home, and are attached to his goggles, are linked to his goggles. They come in handy, and you see that when they leave. You see that when Volume 2, we'll see them again. But look what they do to the house. They instantly destroy the entire action unit.
Yeah. So here's our lair. It looks like the Evals have been kind of busy.
Hmm.
And they looks like they had some money stashed away because they have quite a complex underneath their home.
Yeah, one of the things that Destructus did early on was he did built this massive amount of wealth, never only used to push his ideal. So they never have used it. Otherwise, they wouldn't have to work, right? So he never used it for personal benefit or personal gain or anything like that. But yes, man, this layer gives me so much Batman vibes. For all I told my artists, and you can tell by the statues in the middle and the plane and all the cars, I said I want a mix between the Batcave and the Fortress of
And Tony,
Solitude.
I was going to say it was going to be a mix between the Bat Cave and Tony Montana's house from Scarface, because I see the statue with "The world is mine," and I
Yeah,
see
yeah. And well,
the
that's just, and then you have. I was like, listen, you got Clark's parents. They're holding up Krypton. I was like, I want Destructus and Ultima to do something like that. But yeah, it's just a mix of the Fortress of Solitude and the Batcave. And when you see where this we see it in issue 8. When you see where this cave is located, it's gonna blow your mind.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't want to do a to get to the cave. There's a portal. The portal takes you someplace else. So we're gonna
Mhm.
find out what that is in the future. All right. So that's the first 7 issues. We had a lot of people in chat saying, "Hey, I've tried to find the first 3 issues. They're ghosts. I can't find them anywhere." You have an opportunity if you digged what you saw to collect all of the first 7 issues in this upcoming trade. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, guys. So it's supply and demand, and I understand it's been hard to get these copies over the years. Our distributor, Diamond Comics, Diamond Distributors, they went bankrupt. We lost a lot of product and a lot of money during that happening. And we're independent publisher. It's hard. It's so hard out here for us. And so what we do is now the antagonist is coming to print via Kickstarter, so you can get all prints, the new trade, which now includes the first 7 issues of Volume 1 on Kickstarter on April 1st. Now, you can get all 7 issues single print, or you can choose between our Volume 1 trade paperback that comes with 4 different covers that you can choose from. We launch on April 1st, and our goal is to raise $8,000 to $10,000 so we can begin printing and shipping it all out to you guys. But we got to get funded on day one. Kickstarter is all about momentum. It's all about gaining traction, and we want people to. So what you can do now is go ahead and sign up, and you can sign up to get notified. And when we launch, they'll let you know, and then you can back immediately.
And that's all covers except the not the Nina Simone cover.
So, but it is in the art gallery
Okay.
in this trade. It is in the art gallery.
All right. Just to go recap, look, Godhood does more than the antagonist. I know we've used up a lot of your time. I just want to rip through these real quick. Sharpshooter is another series you have with a blind archer. You want to talk about briefly about this? You said this is one of your favorites.
Yeah, one of my favorite books, and we're gonna get back into it very shortly. But it's basically, I said, what if LeBron James was a superhero? Um, Chris Hill is the world's most famous athlete. He's good at everything, but one of his loves was something that his father introduced him to, and that was archery. And so he's in the Olympics in Atlanta, and there's this huge terrorist attack that kills his pregnant fiance at the time, but also ends up making him blind and taking his eyesight. Luckily for him, he invested into a tech company a few years earlier called Athletech, and they had designed these sonar visors that was able to give him his vision back, but also other prosthetics that made him essentially a Captain America type prower. And he goes on and hunts domestic terrorism in his own city to get back at the group called The Only that destroyed his life
Yeah, yeah, that
as
was
the
a
vigilante sharpshooter, the blind archer.
real dope book, man. And I mean, I ripped through that thing, man. I definitely want some more.
Now, and this artist is now taking over the antagonist series, so that artwork is going to return.
Cool. You also have Mega Woman. Talk about
Yeah,
this character.
yes, Mega Woman issue 1 and 2 are now free to download at our website, godhoodcomics.com. It's going to be free all week. We've had it free all month, and it'll be through this week. So make sure you go and get those. But Mega Woman is essentially my love letter to Greek mythology, as we talked about early on. She is the last child of the Greek god Zeus. Now, a lot of people say, well, why didn't you make the gods African gods or this or that limited thinking? I say, hey, because I wanted to. I wanted to use the Greek gods. And it was also important to note that in this universe, gods do not pass down DNA. They pass down power, right? They are not like us. They do not pass down their skin tones or how they look. And all gods of all cultures exist in Mega Woman. And we see that in Mega Woman, the God games. where she has to go through this arena and fight gods of all cultural backgrounds. But she is the daughter of the last child of Zeus, destined to bring about the apocalypse. So she is the one that's supposed to do what Zeus did to his father. She doesn't want to do that, and so to hopefully to prevent her dark destiny, she becomes a superhero in Atlanta to fight crime. But her methods are a little aggressive, and she gets a lot of slack for it. But she has this like avatar state called the Godhead that she is trying to keep at heel, because once it comes on, all it wants to do, as she says, is subjugate and destroy.
The other thing is that with this is with Mega Woman, you have again another family dynamic, because although
Yes.
her biological father, for lack of a better term, is Zeus, she has an adoptive father who she didn't realize was not her real father until much, much later in life,
Yes.
who thinks of her as his daughter. The
Absolutely.
relationship is exactly like that. And you have that family dynamic with the mother and the father, and her as the daughter.
Yeah, and that stepfather is Detective Leon Carter, and so we see in issue 3 he was actually there. He met her mother the day she was born, and he kind of filled that role, and that speaks to my relationship, that I had a stepdad for over 13 years who took that role on, and it's super important. And it also talks about just showcases that family isn't a blood thing for me. Family is about action. Family are the people who step up when you need them to step up, who take care of you when you need to be taken care of, and that's what Leon Carter did for her. And right now, once she feels out, their relationship is kind of strained because a lie is a lie, doesn't care who tells it, and he essentially had lied to her. But they still work together here. He's her handler in the field, and that relationship is going to heal sooner or later.
Yeah. And then you have the Galactic Patrol Delta, your sci-fi book. Why don't you talk about this book?
Yes, that is my love letter to Star Wars and Star Trek, the Galactic Patrol Delta. And it tells the story of Officer Salam Inanu, who is from Ethiopia, and she's from a war-torn village at the time in the 90s. I think it's 1993 or 4. And she discovers this intergalactic police force. And they actually save her life, and she's exposed to the Milky Way galaxy. This is my love letter also to corruption and how it exists in the police at every level, because humans are essentially bad, and where humans go, so is badness, even in the police force. And so they found corruption at Galactic Patrol, and her team of rookie space cops set out to kind of attack it, but they have trouble doing that. It's a big Milky Way.
Yeah. And coming soon. You want to talk about some of these other books?
Well, a lot of those are canceled. So outside of Fight Island and the Americans Red, White, and Blood, which are 2 antagonist spinoffs, and so we're focusing on those now. The Feast We Can Do is our Con Air meets 30 Days of Night series. So a lot of this stuff has been pushed back, so I don't want to get your hopes up on it, but we want to focus on Fight Island and the Americans Red, White, and Blood, which are the Americans Red, White, and Blood is a prequel graphic novel that happens right after the American passes away in the nuclear warhead, and we see what happens with the Americans and Liberty Lady, and what happens. We meet the Russian and El Mexicano, and then Fight Island is a solo book about Trey Evil, and he's kidnapped after Volume 1, and he's taken to this island of superhuman fighting, where it's either fight or die.
I noticed in the upper left-hand corner you have the book Magnus.
Yes.
With Wiseacre Comics.
Yes.
One of
And
the
so, but
things, yeah, go ahead. Let's talk about
Yeah,
that.
no, yeah, Wiseacre. They are releasing Magnus right now. They're actually running a Kickstarter, and so that was a book that we helped develop and get out there, and it's out now. You can go to wiseacre.com and get it in there. It's also on Kickstarter right now.
I wanted to point that out because of when we asked you at the very beginning of the show, what is Godhood Comics? And I mentioned the fact that you not only put out your own books, but you also extend your hand to help other creators get their books off the ground. There are other publishers to help publish their books and get them out. Why don't you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, man, and I deal with it a lot because I feel that sometimes I don't necessarily, or Godhood or myself, we don't necessarily get the credit that I deserve, and maybe that's not, maybe I don't need it, maybe that's not what God wants me to have. But yeah, we've helped so many. My focus again is always to push quality amongst my people, guys. We cannot just put anything out there, and unfortunately, that's what I see in Black comics, where they just put it out there and people wonder why they can't crack 3,000, 4,000, or $5,000 on Kickstarter, because the quality's not there. And I've helped so many. Sure, you can go to a trade show, or you can go to a white comic shop or somewhere, and a producer or a director says, "This looks good. I want it. Let's go."
Right. And then you also have, I've seen this promo that you've been sending out
Oh my
recently.
God.
Can you talk about this?
Yeah, so we're excited, man. So this is if you become a day one backer, this is why it's important to sign up to the Kickstarter right now. All you're gonna do is cost you nothing. Click the link to sign up, and then if you back in the first 24 hours, you also get these 5 free comic books as a downloadable, and that is Alkalite #1. It's called free issue ones for our day one. So that means if you become a day one backer, you'll get a Concrete Comics Alkalite issue #1, Project Oasis issue #1, Southside from Advent Comics issue #1, Tap or Die issue #1 from Anthony Stokes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And obviously our own Galactic Patrol Delta issue 1. For anybody that backs day one, what people don't understand is momentum matters on Kickstarter. You do not have to have money in your account. You can have $0 or be negative, and you can still pledge. And they don't take any money out until 30 days later when the campaign ends. And if you still don't have it then, they give you additional 7 days. And I wish Kickstarter was more open about how that works, because you don't have to have money in your account to back. But we want to get those pledges in on day one. So then we have an additional 29 days to raise more funding.
That's what's up. Thank you for mentioning that.
So if you're here, guys, if you're in here and you saw and you like what you see, please go ahead and sign up and back and be a part of the community, and us hitting our goal and backing on day one so you can get these books.
And that starts on April 1st, you said, right?
Yes, it does.
That's this Monday. All right. So our producer put out a poll. He wanted to do a poll to see how many people were aware of the antagonist before tonight. Did you have that, Dr. Wizard? Is this your first time hearing about the antagonist? Half the people watching had never heard of the antagonist before tonight.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But that's why we do these shows.
And I appreciate that. And I've always said the problem with indie comics is you're constantly fighting because most of the world don't know you exist. And that's the fight. And that's always our fight, to get more funding, to get more investments, to grow and expand, because this poll just shows that. And so thank you so much for putting that in perspective. Wow,
Yeah.
wow, wow.
Yeah. Now, Chad, if you have a couple more minutes, Tyler, if you would, some people had some questions. If you don't mind.
Oh, absolutely.
Go ahead, Dr. Wizard. Need these books. Where can I purchase?
So I'm going to go ahead and direct you to the Kickstarter. Click the link. You already said you had just signed up. When we launch on day one, you're going to go and pick a reward tier. You're going to look at how much you want to spend, and you're going to look at what book you want, and then what rewards come with that tier, and you're going to get those books in print.
All right. I never read The Antagonist. Is it in trade paperback?
Yes, Kevin. And so right now, if you click the link to sign up for our Kickstarter, you can get the trade paperback that we just showed on the stream, and that's issues 1 through 7. Now, this is a 150 issue main series that we're creating, and so we're only on issue 7. We're working on issue 8 through 14 right now. This now is the perfect time to get in, because listen, we've had interest for animation. We're working on an animation teaser right now, by the way. But we've had interest for live action adaptation. That almost happened, and you don't want to wait until it comes out for you to get on the bandwagon. So now is the perfect time. So definitely go to Kickstarter link and hit and sign up so you can get notified when we launch, and you can get your books.
Next question. It'd be cool if the genius kid creates a smart intelligence chip for his dog.
So he does. His dog does have a collar that we are introducing in the series that allows him to communicate with them. What? So he kind of talks to the dog, and the dog like barks, and he understands the dog. So what it is the dog barks, and his goggles are taking those barks and translating them. But no one else knows that, so it looks like he's just crazy and he's talking to the dog, but the dog is actually is speaking to them, and we see that when he gets that collar on him. So great minds think alike.
That's great. That's a scary thought. A genius like Dexter dealing with bullies with lethal efficiency. Yeah.
Oh my God, yes. There were scenes I had to take out because I didn't want to show violence to kids his age. But yes, there was a scene I took out where he was in school and Ultimate got called and by his teacher, so she had to have a teacher parent conference where it turned out that he had fed the entire class laxatives. He had fed the entire class laxatives, and they all dehydrated, and the room was just full of crap. And I had to take it out because I didn't want to see a bunch of 6 kids on panels. But yes, I got to really deal with Taj Evil and his age group.
Todd's going to be a whole problem. World of War says Tyler is creating a super indie publisher with Godhood, Wiseacre, and Punch. What is the complete vision from a publisher standpoint?
So I want to become a full. Well, first of all, shout out to Wiseacre and Punch Publishing. We're more separated. They've got amazing projects that they're working on now. Our focus has shifted to the antagonist and other titles. Um, and But we want to become a full on media conglomerate. I would love to adapt our comics to TV, animation, and live action film, but also get into tech, video gaming, and just have this intellectual property powerhouse.
Yeah. What's our next one? Mr. Martin, you say the Americans are not racist, but are they misguided? Do they hold false assumptions and biases like the average American? Do they want to make America great again?
So first, let me say that we're all racist. We're all actively prejudiced. That is in our human nature. They do not go out of their way to, be bigots or anything like that, or to be biased. So I'm not going to say that they're not, because all of us are. All of us see a certain group of people, and we instantly think something about that group of people. So they are human in that way. Misguided. Um, Certainly you could say they are misguided, as far as especially one of the Americans who is so ingrained in following the law. And if the law says slavery is at one point, the law was that slavery was legal. So what was his stance beyond that? So I think, and Calvin said it in issue 7, he said his one flaw was refusing or not able to see America's past and flaws, and that is his would be his undoing, and essentially it was. It's what killed him. And his last words, as we said earlier, was "God bless America." So I would see that that's kind of misguided. Yes, but as far as make America great again, I don't know what you mean by that, but these are a team of heroes that try to focus on the best interests of America and how that looks moving forward, without really delving into past situations, which we all can agree or disagree that that's not such a good way to go about it.
Is that everything? Is that Michael B in the back?
This is one of the incidents where you send reference to your artist, and he just essentially copy and paste. I said, you know what, it might get us some attention, and it did. This picture went absolutely viral, and his team saw it, and a lot of people from so we it was exciting, that part. But yes, he essentially did make him look more like Michael B here, but no, that's not him.
I'm a little biased. I hope you bring this artist back. I think this artwork is just fantastic. It's crazy. What's up? Question: can I grab your books at a LCS?
So we are, as we said, and I don't know if you guys follow comic book news, but Diamond Distributors, one of the biggest comic book distribution companies ever, had filed for bankruptcy, and they were our distributor, and we were just getting started, and it was super hard to keep up with. It was supply and demand at that point, but we're fine. We're trying to crack into distribution, and we're going to see how that works out. But yes, hopefully soon. And it's also about just talking to your local comic book shop and asking them how to, if they want antagonist comic books, and they can obviously come directly to me or to the website, and we'll hook them up with wholesale deals and things of that nature.
Okay. Will the Evils go to Congo or Palestine in future issues, or will the homegrown injustice in America keep them in the States?
No, no plans for Congo or Palestine. Um, there is so we are working on a story. I don't know if you guys know that in the antagonist comic series, um, the American when the American was created, it was this thing called the Capes Race, where all the superpower countries were wanting to get their hands on the red gas that created the American. A lot of them were able to. And it became the Capes Race, and so you had countries like Russia, Mexico, France, England, Israel, Palestine, other Middle Eastern countries. They were able to get their hands on the red gas to create their own versions of the American. And every we call them the country. It was called the country, and so that created the Countryman Treaty, in which old warfare then was became obsolete. And so now countries who can, they fight with their supermen, right? So if the American Russia had gone to war in the antagonist series, it would just be the American and the Russian fighting it out, and the winner would win the war. But the American didn't want to be used by his government. He also, the American, John stated early on, the American and the Americans must be free of government control. And so he created the Countryman Treaty, where all of the world's supermen who were created with the red gas kind of have this treaty called the Countrymen, where they're all in alliance and agreements. And there is some trouble in the Middle East that we see in later issues, where some of those supermen are kind of doing their own thing, and they have to be checked by the new Americans. So, but they won't. The antagonist, the Evils themselves, won't be going to any of these places.
All right. What happened to the TV adaptation?
So it was a lot of things. The biggest thing that killed it was the Hollywood writer strike. So the writer strike and the Hollywood strike that happened 2 years ago. That was a real big killer for it. As you know, billions of dollars of productions were shut down and lost, and so that was the one of the main reasons. And the other one was that we really wasn't getting delivered on the promises that were made by the production team and things of that nature. And so my loyalty will always be, and I tell all of our producers, everybody that reaches out to us from Hollywood, that I'm fine with just making this a comic book, you know. So it has to feel right. It has to be the right circumstances. The characters have to be done justice. I don't want, what we see is certain adaptations where it's just not like the comic at all. I don't want that. And so if it's not going to be right for me, for my team, for Godhood, I would rather not do it. But we have some interest going on, and we're working out some things now as we speak.
Will GP also be part of the add-ons for the Kickstarter?
Yes. Oh, well, as an add-on, that's a good idea. So you know what? I think I will go back and add those, add all of our Godhood Comics books as add-ons. I'll do that for you specifically. Yeah, I'll add it as an add-on. Sure thing.
That's what's up. Good question. That was a good request. Does Hera mess with Mega Woman since she doesn't like Zeus's bastards?
Yeah, and so more importantly than Hera not liking Zeus Bastard is that in the Mega Woman comic, Hera doesn't like Zeus. And Hera is Mega Woman's main villain. She has tried to overthrow Zeus countless of times, and she could never done it. She was banished to Earth, banished to Tartarus, and so she just has this powerful rage and hatred towards Mega Woman and Zeus and everything that they both represent.
How many issues did you say you have planned thus far?
For the antagonist, 150 issues for the main series and 7 spin-off series or graphic novels.
Wow. At least you keep us busy. Thank you. Did Zeus use his usual underhanded method to impregnate her mother, i.e., to shapeshift into another dude, a swan, or a beam of light, etc.?
No, so in this, they actually fell in love. This was after the second war of Olympus, where Hera, Hermes, and Hera, Ares, and Ares attacked Olympus. There was this huge war. The Lord lost. Zeus recluse to Earth in the early '80s, in the mid '80s, and he met her mother. They actually fell in love. He told her who he was straight off the bat. She didn't care. They fell in love that way. But Olympus was dying without him. Hera was attacking again, so he left. So no, she was not a product of any lie or anything like that.
When does the Blind Archer and the Woody McClain series drop?
So the Blind Archer series is already out. You can get that. Guys, this is what this antagonist Kickstarter is going to do. It's going to allow us to reprint all of our books without distribution. So that's why it's so important. So, but you can get the Blind Archer series right now on our website, www.godhoodcomics.com. The Brotherhood, the Woody McClain series, was just an amazing book, one of our most high quality books that was emphasized. We're still working on a release date there. Working with Woody was a real treat. But he has a busy schedule, as of course, he's a Hollywood actor. So I'm not sure what the plans are for right now. We're trying to work out the details. So we'll see and we'll get back to you on there. Make sure you stay up to date with Godhood Comics. Follow us on social media, godhoodcomics.com, at Godhood Comics on all social media platforms. But guys, more importantly, make sure you sign up for our mailing list on our website so you can be in the know. A lot of people ask a lot of questions that can be found on our website or any social media platform. So make sure you're in the know.
All right, our last question. Are you still working on the spin-offs on the Evals kids?
Shout out to the Facts Project. Go follow them, check them out. Love the YouTube channel. Yes, so the Aaliyah and Taj don't have spinoffs, although I do have a working a concept for a Taj spinoff. But Trey Ebel Fight Island, we're still working on that. And like I said earlier, we have 7 antagonist spinoffs. We have the Americans, Red, White, and Blood, the Trey Ebel spinoff, Fight Island. We have the American spinoff, which I can't tell you that, which is amazing. We have Sheila English, Woman of Action, where she kind of it's kind of a Sheila English leading a Suicide Squad type of team. We have Death Toll and Initiative One. We have, whew, I think that's not all, but I can't get into others without spoilers.
All right, that's what's up.
Sorry, Destructus and Ultimate Year One. So it takes place immediately a day after Candace Evil is dead. His little sister dies.
I'm very interested in seeing that.
Yeah, sure. It's called Destructus and Ultimate Year One.
All right. So thank you, Ty, for being out here. Tell everybody where they can find you on social media, where they can buy Godhood products, etc.
Absolutely, guys. You can find me personally at Tyler the Animator on Instagram or Tyler Forrest Martin on Facebook. And if you want to check out Godhood Comics, go ahead and type at Godhood Comics on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, or X, or wherever, just wherever you're at on social media. We're either there or we're not at Godhood Comics. But more importantly, guys, this is really a call to action. It's so hard out here for independent publishers, even for ones more that are esteemed like ours. And so this Kickstarter is one of those things where it's a call to action. So I pray tell that you go and you click the link and sign up, and then on day one you choose your book and back it. So you're not only getting prints and rewards like posters. This trucker hat is going to be on the Kickstarter. So get those goodies and help us reach our goal on day one. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to reach our goal of 8 to 10K in 24 hours, and it takes a village. Every dollar counts. Every person counts.
Can you turn your light back on? Do you have a light you can turn on?
Yeah, my bad.
All right. So, Tyler, I don't know if you're aware, but we have a tradition here at Black Comic Lords, and when you interview with us, we consider you family. So, to that end, to get initiated into the squad, we want you to take you can take me off the screen here, Mr. Producer. I don't even know how to do that. Here we go. I want you to look into the screen, say your name, and say, I am a Black Comic Lord.
Ready?
Yep.
What's up, guys? I am Tyler Martin, comic book creator, founder of Godhood Comics, and I am a Black Comic Lord.
There you go.
That felt so good.
It's good to hear you say it. It felt good to hear you say it. All right, fam. Listen, appreciate everybody for being here tonight. Hit the like button if you haven't done so already. I see we don't have nearly enough likes. Share this video over your social media. The simple act of just hitting share is tremendously helpful for us. If you like what we've done here, if you like the content that we produce, please go ahead and subscribe to the Black Comic Lords YouTube channel. You can also check us across other social media, Facebook, Twitter, Blue Sky, Threads. We're there as well. Facebook is where our real hub is with the community. Join it, participate, comment, learn, share. It's a great community on our Facebook page. We're almost up to 80,000 people there.
Yep.
But we're going to have, I think, maybe a Wednesday wrap-up show. We're going to let Ty go and then do our Wednesday wrap-up show. If the squad shows up, I don't know if they're in the back. I don't know if they're hiding out somewhere. We'll see. It might just be me and Dr. Wizard. But Tyler, want to thank you again for joining us. Finally having you here. It was a pleasure. It was an honor. We wish you every success. As soon as this is done, I'm going to go on Kickstarter and order my books because I think I had some that was pre-ordered that I received, but I think I'm missing a few, so I'm looking forward to getting those missing issues.
Hey, man. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you. Go sign up right now, guys, so that when we launch on April 1st, I need every one of you to be thinking I'm going to be the first backer. If we're all the first backer, we're funded day one.
There you go. There you go.
All right, guys.
All right. Dr. Wizard, why don't you go to a quick commercial break and we'll be right back.
This week in Black History, Black Comic Lord celebrates the artistry of Dennis Cowan. Dennis Cowan is a comic book artist with a flair for naturalism. If I didn't know any better, I thought the brother lived and breathed in brick-walled alleys, inhaling the pollution of the city streets and exhaling the pictures of agony and anguish. You see, it's hard to describe Mr. Cowan's art, so I'm forced to use a ghetto analogy. Dennis Cowan art is like fish and grits. It's not first on the menu, but you're glad you spotted it. Visually, it tastes good and your eyes will be filled. Yes, filled, I say, filled with detail. They say the devil is in the details, but Dennis be like, hold my beer, because the brother crafts scenes and faces where it makes you wonder, did he miss anything? Each panel is filled with action, and though pictures cannot physically move, Dennis Cowan shows and proves that they actually can. From Batman to The Question to the Black Panther and others, Dennis Cowan's art speaks like Terminator X speaks with his hands. That makes him a bad man and worthy to be celebrated. Salute the living legend that is Dennis Cowan, a Black history legend. If you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And until next time, peace.
What is going on? You are muted, sir.
Try this again. What's up? What's up?
You just ruined the whole intro, man. Come on, man.
Oh, we can. This is just a pre-roll. We'll get the intro in a moment.
This. So we going full janky tonight. What's up, everybody?
There you go. Yeah, just do the countdown.
We're gonna do the countdown. And
yeah, do the countdown.
And a 2. And a 1, 2, 3. It's the Wednesday wrap-up show with Derek and Paul.
How's it going, Paul? How's it going, chat?
That was a dope interview, man.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. It was a while in coming, but definitely worth the wait.
Yeah. We've been trying to get him on here forever.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we finally have.
There we go.
OG.
What's happening?
Turn down your volume.
How's y'all doing?
Turn down what?
Do you have
more than one?
Yeah, you're
echoing. I have an echo.
When we talk,
you echo.
If you have more than one,
turn off the volume. Volume. I don't know where.
I love
watching.
Which has these.
Okay. What about now?
testing.
Testing 1 2.
No, it's
still echoing. Still echoing. All right, let me get out of here. What about now?
Still
Yeah,
got it.
Huh?
That's how you know people are really real with
y'all. What about now?
It's still there,
man. God, no. I'm trying to think. Where would it be? Oh, you know what? No, that's not it. That can't be it. Let me go back out and come back in. I don't know what's going on.
All right.
All right. Be right back.
Lord. All right. So what are we gonna talk about today? I guess the first thing that would be natural is to talk about that Marvel thing that got released today while I was at work and everyone's blowing up the internet.
Let's do it. You know, I haven't had a chance to really pay attention to anything during my work days lately. So I think the only things I saw was what you were posting in chat today.
I didn't even get a chance to look at it. I mean, I had people blowing me. Oh man, you know.
Well, maybe it wasn't you. It was the the other chat. Yeah, that's what it was.
Well, you can't believe Marvel's doing all this, and there's a lot of actors that were Marvel. For those who don't know, Marvel did like a 6-hour troll to their fans. I guess I interpret these differently. People are all excited. And I'm like, this is a 6-hour troll to the fans where they posted up on on YouTube, basically like director's chairs, movie set chairs with the names of the actors. And they would periodically over time go from one chair to another to show the entire cast of people that are going to be in the next Marvel big movie. Which one is it? The Doom War one? Doomsday, I think it's called. Avengers Doomsday, next Avengers film.
Yep.
And they had, everybody you can imagine, even some surprises. The surprises being some of the people from the original cast, the original X-Men movie, Patrick Stewart, Ian McKellen, Alan Cumming, who played Nightcrawler, James Marsden, who played Cyclops, Paul Rudd as Ant-Man, the guy who played Namor is going to be in it. Was there anyone know if Jonathan Majors Kang is in there? Was there any mention of that? You guys are really silent.
I don't know. I haven't had a chance to look at any of it yet. I'm behind on today's.
Don't care.
That's kind of. I mean, honestly, this is Rich being this grumpy old man thing, but I actually agree with him this time. I really didn't care all that much. Like, Marvel has let me down so much in the MCU. I'm not all that fired up about it as everyone else is. I'm like, okay. That's great announcement. I guess I need to see a trailer or something to make sure it actually comes into fruition. Because think about the history of Marvel of late. Last couple phases has been about a bunch of promises of things that they're coming out with that never even saw fruition. And the quality level of what their product has been lacking. So I'm just not as fired up as I used to be about announcements like this. And I feel some kind of way about that. I feel kind of sad about it, but I can't, if I'm being honest, I'm just not super enthused. I am cautiously optimistic, would be even a strong term to say. What do you guys think about the Marvel announcement today? Are you guys excited for Avengers Doomsday? I think it's called Doomsday, right? Does anyone
I
care?
am not excited. I just don't. I just don't care. Just don't care.
Right?
I cannot bring myself to care about what Marvel is doing. And it's been like that for a minute. You know, when the movie comes out, I'm gonna go see it. Phil said we sleeping. I'm not sleeping. I just refuse to be hype about it. I mean, look, bro. I put it like this here. There are times when certain movies or whatever, or certain series, you enjoy the series, right? And let's say you watch a series, and the first 3 seasons of the series is great, and then season 4 is whack. Be like, okay, they need to get it together, and they kind of get it together. But by season 5 or 6, you're kind of like, okay, I'm not there every Thursday night when the show come out. I'll watch it on, you know, I'll watch it when I get to it, that kind of thing. It's not that I'm just, you know, Marvel is not just Marvel's that machine is just not as alluring as it used to be.
Right.
And so for me, it's kind of like, man, just get the comic books right. So if they do something great with the movies, but their record for his movies has not been that good of late. And so it's like, okay, the Captain America, you know, Brave New World, I thought was a good film, but it's not good enough for people to like go back and see it twice. So, you know, to be excited about all of these guys that we've already seen. Here's the thing, Paul. We've seen these guys.
Yeah.
So it's not like there's somebody that's going to be in the movie that we hadn't seen, that's coming in the movie theater that we, you know, are anticipating. It's literally, you know what I'm saying, a all-star cast. You ever watch an all-star cast movie, Paul, but it's boring as hell?
Yeah, I mean, I think you kind of nailed it on the head. We've seen most of this cast before.
Yeah.
You know, this is supposed to be the reboot of Marvel. I mean, they talk about, I'm not concerned with Doomsday. What I want to see is Secret Wars, because Secret Wars is where Marvel gets rebooted. And I think ultimately you're going to have to do that. I mean, here's a picture of Robert Downey Jr. This dude's old. He's in his 60s at this point.
Yep.
He's not going to be doing 10 more years, you know, as Iron Man or whatever. He's moved on. He's playing Dr. Doom. People may want to see Iron Man again. People may want to see Steve Rogers again. These actors don't have contracts with Marvel or have aged out or a combination thereof. Now, look, Marvel's a big playground. They have lots of characters they can continue the universe with and never touch any of these characters they've done in the past again. I don't know if Marvel has it within it to do that. I don't. Are they capable of it? Absolutely. Are they willing to do that? I don't know. Because ultimately, this is a business and it's about the intellectual property. They want to make money off the IP. So they could take an obscure character off the Marvel shelf and put it in a movie, but how much intellectual money are they going to make off the intellectual property if it's not established already? Are they willing to take that risk? Are they going to put Night Thrasher in the MCU? Well, there's not a Night Thrasher lunchbox. He's not in any cartoons. You know, he's not in a video game. How are you going to make your money? You know,
I mean, it's a Marvel movie. People are gonna go see it. I'm gonna go see it. But am I just gonna be like day one? You know, up close and screen. Am I gonna go with a bunch of people and be geeked to see it or whatever? I'm like, okay, it's cool. I'm here. I'm gonna check it out like everybody else. But am I just really just jumping up and down for this movie? No, I'm not. Part of me would probably, my attitude would be different if I knew that T'Challa was going to be in the movie.
Well, that was kind of, I was gonna. I mean, you stole my thunder. That's kind of what I was gonna go through.
Sorry,
like,
but
here's the list of characters. We have Thor. We have Sue Storm, the Invisible Woman. We have Sam Wilson, Cap Falcon. I'm not calling Captain America. We have Bucky Barnes, Winter Soldier. Shuri, Black Panther. Scott Lang, Ant-Man. John Walker, U.S. Agent. Mejia, Namor. Ben Grimm, The Thing. Shang-Chi. Yelena Belova's Black Widow. Hank McCoy, Beast. Kelsey Grammer, good to see him back. He does a great Beast. Bob Reynolds, Sentry. Joaquin Torres as Falcon. Johnny Storm, the Human Torch. The Red Guardian, M'Baku. Ava Star as Ghost. Loki. Charles Xavier. Magneto. Nightcrawler. They brought back Rebecca Romijn as Mystique. They brought back James Marsden as Cyclops. They brought back Channing Tatum as Gambit. That was a smart move because Gambit is a hella popular character. Pedro Pascal is going to be Mr. Fantastic, and Robert Downey Jr. specifically as Dr. Doom. But the name that we don't see is T'Challa. Miss me with this film. I mean, and the reality is there's no new names on this list.
Nope. And I like H&H's comment about Blade. There's no Blade.
Oh my God! I just realized that there's no Blade. There's no Blade.
Matter of fact, is Cumberbatch in the movie?
No.
So there's no Doctor Strange. So yeah.
There's an opportunity being missed here. Now, this is not necessarily an exhaustive list. This is just what they've released so far. Maybe the surprise is that they're going to introduce new characters. Like, I want to see a Dr. Voodoo. There's no Doctor Strange. You're damn sure better be a Dr. Voodoo. I want to see, where's the Young Avengers? There's not a single Young Avenger on this entire list of people.
Yeah. Well, like I said, don't care. Just don't care. Bring the movie. When the movie get here, when we see the trailer, then it can get real or whatever. Then I'm like, okay, let's go. But right now, the only thing I'm not going to say the only thing I care about, but what the movies that I do care about is Superman.
Pericles asked, how do we our thoughts on SZA playing the place? Did you see the movie?
He asked that question last week on our show.
Let me answer your question. Did you see the movie One of Them Days? That's the only acting role I've ever seen SZA in. If you're telling me that her acting in that is worthy of playing the #1 Black superheroine in the world, then sure. I don't personally, when I see her act in the movie One of Them Days, look at that woman's that woman's performance and say, that's someone who I could see play Storm. She's a beautiful woman, very talented singer, incredibly talented singer. But her acting skills to play the foremost Black superheroine in the world, you need to be at Chadwick Boseman level. That's the standard that's been set by that man. So if you're going to play the foremost Black superheroine, you got to have those type of acting chops. And I'm sorry, love SZA, that ain't her. Get yourself an actual actress. Is my opinion.
I agree with Jodie Turner.
That's who I said on the show last week, Jodie Turner Smith.
She's perfect, but the problem is she's now kind of aging out the role because, ideally you want an actress who is in her early 20s so that she can do 10 to 15 years of films. And Jodie Turner Smith is, I think, already 40 at this point.
The problem with that, though, is, Paul, you're not going to get that. You're not going to get a 20-something Storm.
There's plenty of actresses that can do it. There's plenty.
You could do that, but for them to do that, though, that means that the X-Men themselves all got to be within that range.
That's my point. That's exactly my point.
So the whole idea is basically you have to literally recast the whole X-Men lineup in order to do it. If you're going to start with a 20-something, I can't see a 20-something-year-old Storm and you got Beast over here in his mid-50s, Kelsey Grammer.
Remember what I said. I don't
Yeah,
care about.
I get it.
I care about Secret Wars because Secret Wars reboots the entire Marvel universe in a way that you're taking all of these different, the Fox Marvel, the Universal Studios Marvel with Hulk and Namor. You're taking the Sony Marvel with Spider-Man, and you're taking all of these Marvel-esque tangential properties that have different storylines, different universes, and you're merging them all together, and you're going to say, we're destroying that and building something new. And here's your new Marvel with all these characters in it. They're in one cogent universe, and you've got brand new faces. They're young, they're fresh, and we're starting from scratch. If you want to mix in Captain America and Iron Man, you can throw those characters with new actors in them, but you can also go into bold new directions with also all types of new characters. That's what I want to see. That's what I want to see.
I just think that, Paul, by that time, I know, but I can't speak for you, but I'm probably not gonna care.
I don't think you care now.
I'm probably going to be 10 years older. I'll be in my mid 60s. The
dentures won't be able to take the popcorn.
Won't be able. I'll be looking for. Let me get that gluten free. Let me get some fat free water. Make sure I have enough to take this Metamucil. You know what I'm saying? I'll be probably had to get a seat in the wheelchair or the handicap line or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So, but no, I mean, you know, again, if that's what Marvel does, then great. But to your point about the Young Avengers, no sign of them. So, you know, it's kind of like, I want them to do something amazing or whatever, but Disneyland is just, I mean, Disney is just has not been amazing of late. It's okay. I don't want nobody to think that I'm just Debbie down on all of it or whatever, but I just really don't care. H&H brings up Blue Marvel. I just don't care.
Yeah. No Monica Rambeau.
I just don't care. Blue Marvel opportunity to show up was in the Marvels movie, and they blew that.
But
I don't know what.
This is an important point that whoever H&H is, shout out to H&H, whoever that guy is. This is an important point. Monica Rambeau ended the Marvels movie in the same universe with the X-Men. Why wasn't she announced for this film?
Because she gonna be still in limbo.
Oh my God! But Kelsey Grammer, who was at the end of Marvels, is in the movie.
Yeah, well, that was a variant.
Eclectic's comments. Eclectic's comments about Storm are pretty funny here.
Look at how all these men in comics act the damn fool in her presence. Doom in the middle of taking over the world, have dinner with her.
Listen.
That's the type of fool Storm needs to be.
I just need the comic books to be right.
Yeah.
If you know, I can't really kill the movies or whatever if the comic books are right. And you know, we go back and forth about, they doing the movies like they're literally lining it up to be the same way or whatever. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Just give us some dope comic books. That's all I care about. I really don't. You know, that's Herschel's. We're literally in Herschel's lane, and he's gonna probably talk to death in the morning at the morning show. But I'm you know, I hope it turns out something great. Like I said, my movie, or what I'm looking for, in terms of movies, is Superman movie. I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to seeing Mr. Terrific. I'm looking forward to seeing Green Lantern, Guy Gardner. I'm looking forward to seeing that. And you know, because that's what's up next. I'm not, you know, the Thunderbolts movie, I'm gonna be honest with you. The Thunderbolts might be a streaming thing for me. There's nobody in the Thunderbolts, and I like Bucky. that's compelling me to go to the theater. Because I'm gonna tell you, Paul, the only way I'm gonna probably see this movie is if I have like a Tuesday off and it's $5 matinee show.
Oh damn.
And the theater's probably gonna be empty. And I probably will have a tub of popcorn, you know, while I can still eat it. I'm just not really looking forward. This is like an Eternals area. When Eternals came out, it was kind of like, well, but I'm gonna go see it. You know, I don't know, bro. The MCU is just not the same thing.
It's not. It's like I'm not that excited.
It's just not the same.
I'm shocked by the fact of my lack of enthusiasm about the announcements today. But I had completely forgotten what Derek said. Like, where's Monica Rambeau? Now I really have this is like my enthusiasm level has dropped down even more significant.
It is what it is, and I mean, you know, I'm looking forward to the movie. I'm looking forward to the Marvel movie. I'm looking forward to the Fantastic Four movie. I could care less about, you know, Doomsday or whatever. Bring on the Fantastic Four. Let us see the Fantastic Four finally done right. Because I'm gonna tell you, Marvel, you done tried this. You done swung the axe at this. Like what? This is the third one. The third time.
Yeah. No.
So,
well, technically fourth if you count that 80s movie.
Yeah. Literally 3-4 times. But the point is, you have struck out each time. It better be good this go around. Because if nothing else, you need to get that movie right. I mean, it's the foundation of the whole Marvel universe. It's the first family of Marvel. I'm just saying, you know, and again, it's like Blade. We have been in Blade pre-production, pre-script purgatory with that part of the IP. Still haven't got it right. Everybody forgot about it. It takes a clown like Ryan Reynolds to put out Deadpool. To bring back the OG Blade, to get people to talk about Blade, period. You've had what?
Yeah, no Ironheart either. No Ironheart was listed.
Well, you know what? Now that's what we need to talk about. The melanated challenge people in our fandom, some of them, have been going in hard on Ironheart. And I wish I could say I'm surprised and I'm shocked, but I'm not, because I know white history and I know white nerds, and I know how some of them are. You know, the thought is she's not Iron Man. She can't replace. I'm like, Paul, if it's not, there's nothing more dumber than a black blurred or a blurred that don't read comic books than a white nerd that don't read comic books. You know what I'm saying? This character's been around close to 10 years, like Miles Morales, and for the most part has not been really used except in champion books and her own title, her self-title. Hadn't really made a whole lot of noise. But for whatever reason, they want to throw shots at Dominique Thorne, and I just don't understand it. I really don't understand it, because to me, it must be slow where you are, what these guys are, because why would you just mess with this particular thing? You've been knowing this character is coming as far as on the screen, the small screen, for a minute, since Wakanda Forever. And now all of a sudden everybody's got their panties in a bunch. I'm like, go back and watch Hawkeye. Go back and watch WandaVision. Go watch whatever. But knock it off with that. They really need to.
No Don Cheadle was announced either.
Well, what if you saw Terrence Howard's name on one of those chairs?
But it wasn't.
I know, but how about that? But
At least that would mean the War Machine's coming.
Well, see, I'm convinced that Marvel has a colorism problem. Because y'all don't want no light-skinned brothers and y'all don't want no light-skinned people in the Marvel cinematic universe at all.
Not after going, Tony. I did not.
By the way, shout out to Wraith for the super chat, and all those who what was it? Tron World also with super chat earlier during the interview. Thanks to both.
Yeah.
Thanks you both.
Yeah, Manifesto say you're gonna snack that. You're gonna sneak that snack box. Oh yeah, I'm gonna have me a 2-piece.
Thank you for super chat, y'all. Feel free to do some more super chat, guys. If with the amount of people that we have here, if everyone donated $2 right now, we might actually make our rent this month.
That's funny.
Let's make the rent.
Yeah, I'm gonna probably sneak me a snack box in, definitely. Sometimes when a movie is terrible, it's the food that gets you through it. I'm just saying, you know what I'm saying? Because for whatever reason, I'm gonna tell you something. There's nothing like a nice hot slice when a movie is terrible to just get you through the monotony of why am I here and why I can't get these 2 hours of my life back. But now I'm probably gonna get me a 2-piece. I just got to figure out whether or not am I going to, go full blown, like, if I bring in some, like, say, Church's chicken it's not that really strong. It's almost got that, it has no seasoning in it. So you can't really smell it. But if I go, say, Popeyes, or KFC, that people can smell KFC.
If you have a choice between Popeyes and KFC, there's no choice. It's definitely Popeyes.
Yeah.
Fast Willie Jackson had the idea. I was almost going to mention this. What if the post-credit scene of Fantastic Four was his mysterious invitation?
I predicted that. I mean, I think that would genuinely make sense. Like at the post-credit scene is Reed getting an invitation that's labeled from Wakanda. That would be dope. That would absolutely be dope.
No, it wouldn't. No, it wouldn't.
Why are you so negative tonight?
No, it wouldn't. Because I'm gonna tell you what would happen. Let me tell you what happened. Everybody and their mama that swear they love T'Challa be making videos, including this channel. We've been like 10, 15 videos. He's back. He's back. He's back. We ain't seen no.
He's stuck in this retro 1960s Marvel verse.
Yeah.
No, you get the invitation, and then you find out when the movie comes out is really T'Chaka that's in it.
Yeah, that's what it's gonna be. That's what it's gonna be.
Shut your mouth right now, because somebody in Marvel is gonna hear that and actually make that stuff come into fruition.
I'm sorry, I pronounced it wrong. Paul, is Chaka. And
yeah, that is Chop, not T'Challa. Chop.
He is silent.
I just, you know what? I'm gonna be honest with you. If they do that, I am just going to do a real talk. I mean, a real talk rich show. As a matter of fact, it's gonna be the shortest show we ever done, Derek. We just gonna show a still of the clip, and the rest of the show is gonna probably be 5 minutes of me just laughing at the Black Panther fans and asking y'all, is this your king? Is this what y'all been waiting for? Y'all have waited with bated breath. Y'all have bought a bunch of lousy comics. Y'all have continued to support this brand that continues to spit on the king of Wakanda, all just to be brought to this point.
And as an eclectic Dirty Niche says, when they bring back the news of T'Challa, he will be called T'Challa.
Be Chop. That's
or
it.
worse, and quite honestly, could possibly happen because Marvel their recast of T'Challa is the Toussaint kid. The kid may be like, well, I want to name myself a little different from my daddy, so instead of T'Challa, I'm actually Prince Chala. The T is silent.
Yeah.
That would be terrible.
Got a super chat.
Expensive paper.
Expensive paper. Thank you so much. We really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Salute.
Appreciate it so much.
Trying to help us make this rent this week. Appreciate it.
Donation. It's a donation. I thought it was the trash. Don't be hitting on me.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much. I manifest.
Man, oh man.
Terrence Howard would show up on set wearing his own armor invention. No, Terrence Howard would show up on set with his own shiny armor suit, like Italian suit, and it would be shiny.
Either way. Yeah, y'all keep hope alive. Keep hope alive.
Blade ain't coming, man. Blade ain't coming. They literally did not put Blade, T'Challa, Monica, Rambeau, Ironheart, or War Machine in any of those announcements. So yeah, I'm not excited. I can't get excited.
No, they expect y'all to be hype over another, Anthony Mackie as Captain America for another movie.
And Shuri is Black Panther. All right, that's it. And Ghost.
So we had a request in the chat. This how about Bitterroot?
Let's get it.
I have not read my Bitterroot comic book yet. I have it, but I have not read it.
Working all day, man. I haven't had a chance to read it.
Heard it was good, whatever. I was shocked to find out it's only going to be 5 issues.
From what I understand, John Jennings has a thing in the back of the book, right?
So, either way,
chat. Tell us what you thought about the book if you had a chance to read it.
Style So Serious says good, no spoilers.
It's good, no spoilers. Good.
I know some people were kind of upset that it didn't crack the top 20 on League of Comic Geeks, I think. It's like, okay, how's this possible? Whatever. And I told y'all, it's just not enough of us.
Yeah, I mean, and here's the thing. When the book originally came out, it wasn't like there was this big hype train for it being released. Remember, we interviewed these guys and they said it was kind of a sleeper hit. Like it gained momentum as it went along. And more people found out about it, and more people jumped on the bandwagon. But there wasn't like a big announcement push from Image Comics this book was dropping. There wasn't a big marketing thing for it, unfortunately. So all we can do is do word of mouth and try to promote pre-orders for the remaining issues, and hopefully it'll extend beyond those 5 issues. But we got to pre-order, guys. We got to pre-order this book. This is way too good and important a book not to. All the stuff we complain about. We don't get good books. No good stories. No good versions of Black people in the comics. No good art. This book has everything. It is genuinely and objectively, by all
Eisner winning
standards, double Eisner winning comic book. It is objectively good.
But Paul, let me set this up, bro. I think the timing on this is off. And the reason why I say that is because when Bitterroot originally came out, somebody tell me the other book that was out at the time, because it was another book that was out at the time that people were digging as well. And I think that when you have competition, that kind of fuels.
Was it Philadelphia and Bitterroot at the same time?
No. Philadelphia was out, but it really was another book.
It's on the tip of my tongue, but I can't think of what it is.
Somebody tell me the book that was out when Bitterroot was out. I'll give y'all 10 seconds to guess it.
What's the prize? Is there Marvel no prize?
The collector got it. Excellence.
I should
Excellence. So you literally have like competition in the fandom in terms of like, okay, I'm reading this here, then I'm reading this. You know what I'm saying? It's literally you go into the shop and you're getting these two different offerings or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And both these are independent books that are good, very good. You don't have that now. And it's unfortunate, but you don't really have that now. And so now also think about the last Bitterroot book that came out. It's been what?
Yeah, it was
3 years?
Yeah, about 3 years.
So, you know, again, people lose interest and you have a certain window, I think, sometimes to have to jump through. And so while I'm not saying that that's an excuse, Paul, I am saying that that may have contributed to some of the jet lag in terms of, you know, because some people are saying, well, Image didn't promote it. Then can't put this on Image. I mean, let me just say that for everybody and for the people in the back. You can't put this on Image. People know about this book. This book is the Eyes in the Winning book. The book is written by David Walker, Sanford Green, and
Chuck Brown.
Chuck Brown. So we can't act as if we didn't know this was coming. We can't act as if we don't know these guys. We can't act as if that, you know, we have to show up. And my thing is, and I am a grouch when it comes to this and grumpy about it, we have got to buy these books.
Or specifically pre-order the books.
Or pre-order the books or whatever. I mean, because you know what? I'm like, you know, I was having a conversation with someone recently, and we were talking about Black culture. And I kind of made the statement that Black culture is or has taken a back seat. That what we got today is not Black culture. That what we got today is not Black excellence. We got something that's masquerading as that, but we really don't have that. Because we don't really gather around. We need people like Tyler Martin for us to like really, you know, infuse some enthusiasm in the comic book space. Because it's only a few of us, y'all. It's only a few of us. There's a lot of people in the peanut gallery, but as far as people that go and buy and support books and that kind of thing, it's very few. Very few.
There was a comment. Sorry,
Which
gotta find
one?
it again. My computer chose not to stop working. Was it Kevin Pitts? He was talking about the 1 in 25 cover. Not easy
It's
to
not
get.
easy to get. Yeah, because the store got to buy 25 books.
There might be some at least one exclusive that's gonna be hard to get because I only think it's gonna be sold locally, so at a certain store. So
Yeah, you get the
keep your eyes
eBay
open.
machine.
There's one that might surprise people, and it's not
Yeah.
even a ratio, but it's only sold in one store, and that store does not have an online site. So
Yep.
Keep your eyes open.
And say go to Feebay. Somebody have it up there for you. You know, shout out to my man Willie. I'm pretty sure Willie got some sketch covers.
Did anyone get this? Did anyone get this cover?
I ordered that one.
Of course you did, because you're trying to outflex me. But I ordered two.
Order two too. I was about to say the same thing. I ordered two.
Wow, that is hilarious. Yep.
I don't
yeah,
remember
that's the one, Paul. That's the one I was talking about.
Soundwave Comics, Dave Chisholm. I didn't even know this one was coming out, and I interviewed these guys.
Yeah, I think that one is it's limited to one store.
One per store?
No, it's only being sold at one particular store.
Oh,
it's
okay.
sold online.
Oh, yeah. Soundwave Comics.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's nice.
That's insane.
Well, shout out to the people that's up and running with Bitterroot. You know what I'm saying? The next movement. I know it's going to be a dope series. We're going to enjoy it. We're going to talk about it. You know what I'm saying? So
I didn't know Third Eye has a variant as well. Look at that.
yeah. Yep.
Everybody in the chat right now on eBay right this very second.
He said, Styles Success says off topic Batman 158 was everywhere. Yeah, it was. It is what it is. It's like 40,000 or 400,000 copies, I think it was. They were talking about being sold.
What was the significance of that issue?
It's I want to say Hush. Plus, I think it's the last one. I think it's the last of the series. I think it's getting ready to go to number 1. So, yeah, we will have a Batman number 1 pretty soon. Unlike Black Panther number 1.
Another issue that came out this week was Doom Academy number 2.
Yep.
It was kind of interesting. This was a Zoe Laveau centered story. The interesting thing about Doom Academy is that Zoe Laveau has taken on the lead character role in this particular volume. So I'm all here for it. She's an interesting character. She's got an interesting family history, being related to Marie Laveau. It says here, as if the world with Dr. Doom at the wheel isn't crazy enough, Zoe finds herself sucked into a fairy tale book. Not a modern, nice fairy tale book, the old kind where the kids die and scare you. But in this case, Zoe's the kid about to die. Meanwhile, her friends and frenemies are looking for Zoe, but they find something even more troubling than their missing friend as that various secrets start to reveal themselves. So, One World Under Doom continues with Doom Academy number 2.
One World Under issue number 2 of that book was not as good as the first one. It was okay, but they kind of brought the Fantastic Four in, and they were like, "We're getting ready to expose Doom," and it was like, "Really?"
Yeah.
People forget Doom's nobody to play with. he seems to have, he plays chess very well.
Shout out to Kenneth Bridgewater. Thank you for the super chat, sir.
Well, let me tell you something about Jim Lee and Batman. I don't care what's the story or whatever. If Jim Lee's drawing it, people gonna check for it. I mean, it is what it is. Anthony Mazzano, what's good? You got a question? Is there a way you can make Doom more morally ambiguous character in live action and not make him a pure villain like he is in the comics?
Yeah.
No, I need Dr. Doom to be Dr. Doom. I don't want to feel sorry for Doom. I want him to be dastardly.
It's not a matter of Doom feeling sorry for him. Doom is interesting when he makes world domination seem like not a bad idea. Oh, that's kind of like what they're doing with this One World Under Doom thing. It's like, well, look, I'm going to unambiguously be a world dictator, a tyrant, if you will.
We have that.
But
his name is. Yeah, okay. We have that. His name. I think it's.
You will no longer have any war. You will no longer have any poverty. You're going to have the best health care in the world. Everyone's going to be happy. There's no more borders. You can travel any country you want. If you want to be a carpenter over in Norway, because you'll make more money there, you can do that freely with no problems, no whatsoever. There's no religious repercussions. There's no borders you have to worry about stepping on anybody's toes. You can live in a unified world of happiness, peace.
Give me some of that weed he's smoking.
You just have to follow my rules. If you don't follow my rules, I'm going to kill you. And your whole family. But
look.
If you follow the rules, you'll be prosperous.
Look, let me tell you something. Paul. We got that today. I think it's overhyped. It's called Elon Musk. No, for real. Because here's the thing: they promised everybody it's going to be great. It's going to be better. We're going to save the country a bunch of money. And you know what I'm saying? They were supposed to be like surgical, and they just literally took a rusty bushwhacker and hacking everything, doing more damage than good. And I get the sentiment, the idea, but no, I want Dr. Doom to be Dr. Von Doom. I need him to be dastardly. I need him to be cunning. I need him to be slick. I need Doom bots to show up where they think he is. I want the whole shebang when it comes to Dr. Doom. I don't need to be like, oh, what's wrong, Doomsy? No, I need villains to be villains. The anti-hero stuff is out of, no. And Manzano, no, I think the situation with Namor in the Wakanda Forever movie, first of all, let's just keep it real. They were kind of playing with the idea that maybe Namor and Shuri could get together. Because in the comics, it ain't nothing like that in the comic books.
They threw hands.
Shuri had nothing but a stake for Namor. He wasn't trying to see Atlantis. Now they changed it to Telecom. Wasn't trying to see. No, he's trying to kill old boy. So, we gotta let the comics be the guide. Let comics be your guide, Paul.
The comics are the guide. The comics right now, Namor is ruling the world, and he's saying, I'm a dictator for life, but the trade-off is you're going to be prosperous. He's being Doom. His ego is, I'm the best person to rule the world, and my subjects will love me because they're going to be happy and have everything they want. If they don't like it, I will kill them. That's 100% Doom, and that's in the comics. I agree with Anthony Manzano. He's not saying, I don't say make him sympathetic. I want a more nuanced character with him. I don't want him to just be a villain just for the sake of being a villain. Anyone can say, I just want to rule the world just because I want to rule the world. From Doom's perspective, ruling the world, having the world under him.
Okay, Paul. Let's jump into the time machine and let's go to the end of this comic book series.
Okay.
Do you think it's going to bode well for Doom?
Of course not.
So somebody who has promised you free health care, free borders, go where you want or whatever, is going to wind up the global warming, the fascism. We're going to prefer that to this.
Where Doom gets in trouble is he offers you all the good things. He offers you the free healthcare, the no poverty, the happiness, the golden streets, etc. But if you violate any of his rules or you don't allow him to be the ruler of all, he will kill you and everyone that you know.
Yeah.
That's the villain part.
I'm okay. But no, I still want my guy to be. I don't want sympathy for the devil type deal. I want to just be dastardly. That's all I'm saying. So anyway, but yeah, that's I'm enjoying the Doom Academy and the One World Doom books. There's other books that have come out, but I'm not interested in as far as the Doom crossover.
Yeah.
I did read X-Force issue number 9 by Jeffrey Thorne. Very, very good, solid issue. Hate that it's ending at 10. But supposedly now, which is kind of dope though, at least Jeffrey Thorne, shout out to our bro, he's writing This 10th issue commemorates X-Force 300 on the legacy number. So he does have that. He will have that under his belt as far as comic book writing. The 300th issue. And it's going to be a double issue, but I think it's going to be like more than one story in the book. But yeah. So between that, a lot of other stuff came out. But yeah. Hypestyle says Doom is going to have his own George Floyd moment. And it's going to start falling apart with them, with black people at least. Don't be using us to rock the boat. Don't be using us.
James agrees with you. He says, I'm with Rich. I'm tired of them reforming villains. I've been reading since the 60s. I want my villains to be villains.
Yep. That's it. You know, I mean, you might have good reason why you turned out to be a, sociopath. I'm fine with it. But I don't have to sympathize. I mean, think about it. Think about it, Paul. People, when Michael B. Jordan played Killmonger in the Black Panther movie, right? And he had all of the keloids or whatever it is, the warrior marks on him, and he throws T'Challa off the warrior falls, right?
Yeah.
They made that look sexy. But in the comic book, in Jungle Action, that was horrifying. They say the people that read Jungle Action were like, dang! And the ladies were like, oh. Our society is upside down, Paul. Let the villains be villains, let the heroes be heroes. So
nuances to this stuff, man. There's nuances.
Absolutely. I agree. I agree. Monazano asks again, so Richard Paul, would you say that Doom is irredeemable as a genocidal maniac with Eric Killmonger? I don't know. I mean, look, I just need the dude to show up in a comic book every once in a while doing something dirty. That's all I want. I don't really care about I want my villains to be villains. That's all I care about. I can't do the inner struggle. I don't need that. I need to, look, I need to be the hero. I need to stop you. You know what I'm saying? One thing I say about Batman. Batman has never, to my knowledge, ever stopped beating the crap out of somebody because he felt sorry for the dude. Batman usually put his boot in your chest and stand over you and growl and be like, send you to Arkham. But he don't stop in the middle of beating the Joker half to death and be like, you know what, I feel sorry I'm doing this to you, guy. Because I know you really mean well, Joker. No. Just let the heroes be heroes. Let the villains be villains. Hypestyle says J.A. Stagg will make Juggernaut a villain against Venom. A villain against, what was that?
Make Venom a villain again.
Oh, make villain a villain. Well, the problem with that is you got to literally put Venom in a movie that somebody cares about. Because can I be honest, Paul? There's been 3 Venom movies. Has anybody even cared?
I honestly haven't seen any of them.
That part. And this is a Spider-Man villain. But I don't know. So Manzano is hilarious. I like him. He says, why is it that Aquaman doesn't get as much respect as a guy like Namor? Is it because the author has a moral code about people. Arthur has a moral code about people, and Namor does not.
Namor's got more of a bad boy edge to him.
Yeah,
He's kind of a jerk.
Pretty much. He is.
The
Namor is really
Aquaman presented in the movies was like a surfer dude. He was a bro.
Yeah.
You know, which is not really how Aquaman is really sort of portrayed in the comics per se, for the most part. But Namor, his attitude, his arrogance, the air of superiority that he has, I think is what makes him stand out as a character, because it can go either way, as a hero or villain. Those attributes.
And you know what's funny? I like him and T'Challa's interaction when they're not fighting each other, but I also like it when they are fighting each other.
Yeah.
You know, he's a good character that can kind of like go from, you know, back and forth, so to speak. But I don't. But see, I think that's what makes Namor special. That he's unique in that way. But when you're trying to literally make a lot of these characters like that, it loses its appeal, if I can say it like that.
Yeah, they never like each other, but they have always respected each other.
Yep.
As being both monarchs.
Yep. But anyway, what else we got, guys? It's almost 3 hours in. Y'all ready to go to bed yet?
This will be one of those rare occasions where I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of tired, dude. I need to go to bed.
I'll be honest. I didn't think y'all was gonna do a show because that Godhood Comics interview was dope, and you did 2 hours with the guy. So, antagonist, you know, you talk about a villain, a group of villains, or a family who happen to be villains that people kind of identify with. That's a switch, and I think that's one of the appeals of the antagonists, that they're not, you know, they're heroic from the standpoint that they're trying to just simply survive their past and all the things that they have done and whatever. But at the same time, you can't help but root for them, you know. It makes the appeal, you know, distinct. But I would not want to see Destructus, especially with a name like Destructus. Would not want to see him all of a sudden become a hero. Your name is Destructus.
Well, he's a hero that became a villain that became a dad. So the question is, at this point, can he be redeemed? Is fatherhood and you know, having a family, is that what's going to redeem him from the villainy he's created? Because he didn't start the villain.
Gangbangers become fathers every day.
No, gangbangers produce children, not necessarily become fathers.
They become fathers every day. And no matter, you know, if some of them are able to escape the life because they've embraced fatherhood, and others lose their life in the middle of that. You know, but I guess my point is that the cold truth is that everybody doesn't make it out. And when it comes to, like, that's real life. You know, we all love a story that starts off very, very horrible and it has a redemption part to it. But what about the stories where there is no redemption? You know, one of the best endings of a movie, in my opinion, is the Menace to Society movie, where, you know, the guy gets ready to go to Atlanta with his girl, or should I say his homeboy's girl, and he literally doesn't make it out of the last scene. And the movie ends with you just kind of like shocked. And that's what everybody goes home to, because I feel like that's the honesty about true storytelling. That there sometimes is no redemption. That there's sometimes it's just consequences. You know, and when it comes to comic books, I think we should have more of that. There should be more consequences. only from the standpoint that to act as a cautionary tale. That if you're into this life, or if you're doing A, B, and C, this might happen to you. You might lose your family. You might die yourself. You might, you know what I'm saying? And it's comic book, so you can always bring the characters back or whatever, but there should be something that, you know, has a build up to it, and that it, you know, you read the story and it jars you. I mean, when's the last time you read a comic and you was like, damn, it took you somewhere where you didn't really think you was gonna go, and you enjoyed it, but it left you jarring. Didn't leave you happy. You didn't have the feels. You just was like, man, you know what I'm saying? I want them kind of stories.
The question that they're asking is, it's not just about the consequences. Part of the story that they find intriguing is the redemption. They're saying, so no redemption allowed from the pastor. I'm just saying, what about the redemption?
I mean, listen, as someone who that believes in the Lord Jesus Christ, absolutely, I believe in redemption. But part of that understanding what redemption is understanding that you have to like get in on the redemption, because sometimes it's too late. That's the thing that people don't want to talk about when it's too late. There's an old saying that hell is not a burning place, but that hell is the truth learned too late. It's like, okay, in my particular field of study, theology, things of that nature, there is a real place where the damned go, where the people who want to live separate from God go. It's not a pretty place, but it exists. And according to scripture, it enlarges itself every day, making room. It is what it is. And I'm not saying that you can't have, I want stories to have redemption in it, but every story, nah. Somebody needs to show that, you know, if you do this, you play a stupid game, you might win a stupid prize. So when we were reading comics, Paul, coming up, we would read stories about Batman where the villains, and here's the thing about the Batman comic books. The Batman comic books were very dark. That sometimes the villains and sometimes the people around the villains would die. There was no coming back. Batman didn't send everybody to Arkham and they came out and they became a model citizen. That didn't happen. Some people literally died, and that's how the story ended. So I get the whole sentiment. It's just that, you know, when we talk about real life, when we talk about art, and it's supposed to reflect that, so to speak, tell those stories as well. You know, tell a cautionary tale. Don't, because if everybody was worthy of redemption, we might get it. But then again, you know, a sunny day is just a sunny day. If every day is sunny, it doesn't really mean anything. But it matters though when you get some dark days and when it rains. But you got to have both. I'm just saying. I'm really just doing all this so I can go home. So, you know, y'all keep talking. I'm trying to work on my positive attitude, Paul.
Wow.
Not be grumpy.
we certainly appreciate your efforts. But now I'm going to be the grumpy old man and say I'm tired. It's been a long day.
Yeah.
And now it's time to say goodnight to all the BCL friends.
Yep.
Shout out to CKCOMNICLORDS.
Boy, butchered that. See, I told you, no redemption to that, Derek.
No redemption at all. No, not even for minister.
Spitting hot fire. Y'all appreciate that. All right, listen up, everybody. Appreciate everybody. Appreciate all the super chats we got. Appreciate all the likes we got. Please share this video. Subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. Appreciate each and every one of you. We'll be back. Sunday. We're going to have David Walker back to talk about the latest stuff that he's working on, including Bitterroot that just dropped this week. Imagine that. We talked about Bitterroot, and David Walker will help talk about it again this Sunday. So tune in if you like the book, and get your questions ready for him. And you'll hear about what else he's got going on. He's got some really dope books that we're going to share and talk about that he has upcoming. So, Richard,
let me answer Louisiana Kid's last thing. He says, "Man, I remember Batman from the '60s show and Super Friends in the '70s was a jovial character. When did he become dark? Oh, he was dark in the '40s. He was dark in the '50s. He was dark in some of the '60s book too. The Batman '66 stuff was they pivoted back. They did that
television.
They television. They did that for mainstream success
and toys.
And toys and lunchboxes and all that good stuff. Gotta love capitalism." Yeah. Until next time, Black Comic Lords, we say love, peace, and what?
Not hair grease, because you don't want hair grease on your comic.
Ain't got no hair, so
no grease on your comic books. That's bad for the paper.
Please, no.
Take care, everyone.
Oh, you had to do the last minute flex. Screw you, man. Black Comic Lords, we got you.
So that's the redemption we talk about. Good night, y'all.